Good morning to all of you and respected Vice Chancellors, the participants, and the President of AIMS. It's my deep privilege to have this second stint of the national webinar on national education policy. We had the first one somewhere in the month of 8th of August, soon after it was announced. And where again we had the Vice Chancellor panel discussion on the real components of NEP. But today's webinar is with a focused one in terms of its implementation strategies and perhaps the hurdles that need to be overcome. And in terms of the opinion suggestions that are to be shared by the eminent speakers, administrators, of state universities, central universities, and some of the private university administrators and vice chancellors. So I take it a privilege to introduce the speakers for today's panel discussion with Professor Sujata Mangaraj, our current president of AIMS. She has been eminent personality in terms of her teaching, research, and also in terms of her activities for promotion of management education, not only in India, but abroad, being also a member of MDSA, which is a prestigious institution at the international level. And she has been also the active member of the Board of Studies in Management at AICT. Professor Mangaraj had worked as a Dean of Business School in Revancha University, and now currently she is working in Bhavan's Institution of Management and Communication as Dean and Director. And she has received a lot of awards for excellence in teaching as well as the HR. So with this brief introduction, I invite Professor Ma'am on behalf of the AIMS. And then I introduce my Vice Chancellor, Professor Varun Sahni, who has been on leave from the Jawaharlal Nehru University and working here as Vice Chancellor for the last 4.5 years. And he has been a prolific speaker, especially as a scientific political international politics. He has been visiting various institutions, especially the National Defense College, NDC, based in Hyderabad, every year from the year 2006, and he goes to give annual series of lectures. And also, right from 1997, he visits several times the Foreign Service Institute in Delhi. And he has been the jury member of the Jawaharlal Nehru Award for International Understanding. And as in luck scholar, he worked for his doctoral work in terms of political role of Argentine Navy at the University of Oxford in 1991. And he has more than 105 research articles in different areas of international politics, regional security, and so on. And he has recently co-authored a book on technology vision in 2035, technology vision 2005 for high-tech. And he also visited a lot of international universities as a speaker, and he is the recipient of the prestigious award of V. K.R.V. Rao Prize in Social Sciences in the year 2006 by the ICSR. And he worked as Vice Chancellor of Jammu University before joining Goa University for a period of from 2008 to 2012. With this brief introduction, I invite our Vice Chancellor Varun Sahni. Welcome, sir. And we have another distinguished colleague of mine, Professor Venkateshvarlu, with whom I had association for more than 25 years as a colleague, professional colleague, and in different associations. Professor Venkateshvarlu has joined as Vice Chancellor in the month of August 2020. I think all these three Vice Chancellors who are the partner universities in our program, all of them have joined in the same month of August 2020. So I would call them the warriors of COVID as Vice Chancellors of all these universities. This is the most challenging time for you to join as administrator of the university. Professor Venkateshvarlu has been a very active researcher, administrator. He held various positions as the Dean of Commerce faculty. He worked as the director of the distance education at Osmania University. And he has been the youngest professor, having more than 25 years. At the young age, he became professor. So therefore, at a later stage, I think immediately after his retirement from Osmania University as a professor. So this is the reward that he got as Vice Chancellor of Kerala University. And he worked in various capacities in Osmania University as the principal of Osmania University College, and also especially being the centenary university. During that period of time, he had organized a lot of programs, being the dean of the Center for Centenary Celebrations in the year 2016, in which he also organized a Vice Chancellor Conference, which was widely acclaimed. And Professor Venkateshvarlu has guided almost 25 PhD students in the area of marketing, HR, and so on, and also a number of MPhil degrees under his guidance. And he visited universities in USA, especially in Las Vegas, and also in Paris, where he presented a lot of papers and received acclaims. And more importantly, he was the vice president of Indian Commerce Association for longest period in the history of Indian Commerce Association for 9 years. And then later on, he became the president of Indian Commerce Association. So Professor Venkateshvarlu, welcome. I think you have a lot of challenges in Kerala.
Thank
University.
you. Thank you.
And then my other colleague, Professor Prasain, who visited once in Goa some years back as a professor from Manipur University. Professor Prasain again is a distinguished professor in the area of HR, finance, and also even the marketing. And he also joined as Vice Chancellor in the month of August 2020. And he has almost 35 years of research experience, research and teaching experience. He has been professor in Manipur University, where even I had my stint for 2 years before joining Goa University. So in that sense, we have a lot of affiliation. And when I visited Manipur University last before a year, I met him. And I never knew that he's now, we are going to meet in his capacity as Vice Chancellor. So it's my proud privilege to invite Professor Prasain. And since he's my personal friend and close colleague, I would not take much to give his background, except that he has been a very active researcher, more serious worker. And we have been discussing about the NEP ever since he joined the Central University. And he has a lot of ideas to contribute. So he has done a lot of projects, major research projects, and life member of Indian Commerce Association and so on. So congratulations, Professor Prasain, for becoming Vice Chancellor. And now it's my privilege to invite you for this. And we have other distinguished Vice Chancellor from Central University, AP. Again, Professor Kori has joined as Vice Chancellor again in the month of August 2020. And before joining, he worked as Director of Karnataka State Higher Education Council, Bangalore, from 2014 till August 2020. He is also a very senior academician, researcher, and also administrator. And he worked as registrar of VICE-CHANCELLOR'S Technological University, Belgaum, for almost 5 years as registrar evaluation. And he proved his mettle as a very good administrator, for which he was rewarded with a prize as best administrator in the year 2016, and for his outstanding leadership qualities. And basically, Professor Kori is an MTech postgraduate with his doctorate from IIT Kharagpur. And he has done a lot of consultant projects for DRDO and DNRD and DST, and also Ministry of Technical Education, ASCT, and so on. And he received a prestigious DST fellowship of Indo-Hungarian Faculty Exchange Program for the year 2005 to 9 in Budapest University of Technology and Economics in Hungary. And around 14 PhD students in engineering have been guided by him for doctoral degrees. And he has been associated in many standing committees by the government of Karnataka. So I take it a privilege to invite Professor Kori. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
And,
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and we have our another senior colleague, Professor Rattan Sharma, who is going to extend word of thanks at the end of this inaugural function. And he was the former president of AIMS. Welcome, Professor Rattan Sharma. And I think you are going to be formally introduced in your technical session at a later stage. Thank you. And now with this brief introduction of all the guests, I request Madam Sujata Mangaraj to introduce briefly about AIMS for a few minutes, after which, since AIMS has been jointly associated with our organization, and for the understanding of the participants of this program, it is necessary that we have to do that. And I will also, before I call you upon to take over, I also thank all the participants and the who I think we have crossed in terms of registrations of more than 500 from all over India. And this program is also part of my ongoing refresh course in Commerce and Management, which is of 2 weeks course run in the Academic Staff College of Goa University. And my participants are also there here, all the 32 participants. Welcome all my participants of refresher course. And also the August board members of AIMS who are there. And I think 2 Vice Chancellor volunteered to join at least to this inaugural function by registering themselves. So I welcome all of them. So Professor Sujata Mangaraj, please.
Thank you, Professor Dr. B Ramesh, the convener of this important roundtable and panel discussion. A very good morning and a hearty welcome to all the dignitaries present. Honorable lead speaker of the inaugural session, Professor Varun Sahni, the esteemed Vice Chancellor of Goa University, esteemed Professor H Venkateshvarlu, the Honorable Vice Chancellor of Central University, Kerala, Revered Professor S A Kori, the esteemed Vice Chancellor of Central University of Andhra Pradesh, respected Professor Ganga Prasain, the esteemed Vice Chancellor of the Central University, Tripura, Revered Professor Dr. Rattan Sharma sir, former President AIMS and Professor DSB BIPS, Revered panelists of the plenary sessions, esteemed past presidents, executive board members of Association of Indian Management Schools, deans, directors, faculty members of business schools, across the country, special invitees, dear participants, a very good morning to all of you. On behalf of Association of Indian Management Schools, AIMS, I extend a very warm and hearty welcome to all of you. It is indeed a very great pleasure to introduce AIMS to this August gathering. The Honorable Vice Chancellors are here. Established in the year 1988, Association of Indian Management Schools is an apex professional networking organization of more than 850 business schools, including top-ranking institutions and departments of universities of national and international repute in India as its members. Initially instituted in IIM Bangalore, it has many illustrious past presidents from reputed institutions of the country, such as IIMs, ISB Hyderabad, XLRI, FMS, and the like. AIMS has a very, very pragmatic vision to uphold the interest of the business education in the country and contributing towards quality improvement on a continuous basis through its determined collective effort. Its mission is to focus on quality by encouraging management research, facilitating in designing market-driven curriculum, organizing faculty development programs, deans and directors roundtables, help maintain and improve standards of teaching and learning, and enabling accreditation and quality assurance of its member institutions. AIMS also provides financial support to its member institutions for conducting national and international seminars, conferences, workshops, and faculty development programs. One of the major activities of AIMS is policy advocacy role to sustain and enhance the quality of management education in all respects. It is the official representative of Indian management schools in the Board of National Regulatory Authority in India, including AICTE, as well as in various international forums on management education, such as Accreditation Council for Business Schools and Programs, ACBSP, USA, European Foundation for Management Development, EFMD, Europe, Association of Advanced Collegiate School of Business, ACSB, US, and Association of Management Development Institutions in South Asia, AMDISA. AIMS test for management admission ATMA has been conducted for last 16 years to help business schools in their admission process. AIMS Journal of Management is a biannual UGC approved journal which publishes empirical and conceptual papers, research notes, case studies, and book reviews. AIMS provides research grant to faculty members of its member institutions to undertake research on contemporary issues in management. Every year we do that. AIMS flagship event is its annual Management Education Convention on current issues of business management and education, where it recognizes achievements of its member institutions and the deans and directors, faculty members, and students. Dear sir, this year, usually every year during the August, being the foundation day of AIMS, we conduct the annual Management Education Convention. And due to this pandemic, it was not possible this year to conduct it physically. We are now planning to organize this convention during the month of January 2021, and we will have to take the permission of our esteemed members to go for digital, as it is not possible this year to go for physical. AIMS felicitates the best performing faculty members of its member institutions with the AIMS JL Batra Research Paper Award, Best Research Paper Award, AIMS Best Case Award, AIMS Ramaswamy PIR Best Young Teacher Award, and AIMS ICFI Best Teacher Award. AIMS also felicitates students. Student talents are also recognized and awarded with AIMS Best Student Research Paper Award, AIMS Data-Wise Best Boarding Manager Award, and AIMS Conscious Capitalism Simulation Award. The outstanding achievements of the deans and directors are also recognized and felicitated with the AIMS RCM Best B School Director Award. Innovation is crucial to the continuing success of any organization, and the best innovations are recognized and awarded with the AIMS V-School Innovation Award to students and to faculty members for teaching learning process and to institutions for their overall innovation, ideas and practices. AIMS Management Week Award is given in recognition of the societal contribution of business schools towards the society and how they contribute in enhancing the life of the people. The prestigious Rabijay Mathai Award is given to management educators, industry leaders, and professionals, recognizing their achievements and a high level of distinction in their respective disciplines. Ladies and gentlemen, you'll be happy to know that AIMS is not a pressure group, rather a large academic conglomerate dedicated for the cause of enhancing the quality of management education by integrating itself with the forums of industry and commerce, academia and research in order to achieve its noble vision. During this pandemic, AIMS has contributed immensely for the benefit of its stakeholders by organizing a series of webinars, inviting distinguished national and international experts from industry, academia, regulatory bodies, and top-notch political leaders also on contemporary issues of management education. Number of collaborative webinars, faculty development programs, case writing workshops, entrepreneurship incubation training programs for faculty members, regional roundtables for deans and directors have also been conducted in virtual mode during this period. We are extremely happy that today's panel discussion on National Education Policy 2020 implementation strategies and challenges is one of the best collaborative initiatives of Association of Indian Management Schools. I thank Professor B Ramesh for that. This is organized jointly with the most premier institution, that is Goa University, in association with three central universities, that is Central University Kerala, Central University Andhra Pradesh, and Central University Tripura. It's a tremendous effort has been put by Professor B Ramesh, and thank you, Professor B Ramesh, for organizing this webinar companion discussion. As we all know, the 29th July 2020 was a landmark day in the history of education in India. On this day, the Union Cabinet passed the long-awaited new National Education Policy 2020. The policy envisages and ensures a bright future for the leaders of the tomorrow and paves a way for a vibrant, accessible, equitable, affordable, and quality education by encouraging holistic development and nurturing each child's unique potential, talent. The policy is not only aspirational, it is futuristic as well. It is in this context, as stakeholders of higher education institutions, we need to understand the policy and its implementation strategies. It is indeed a great honor to have with us very distinguished educationists today and very eminent panelists to deliberate on the subject and throw light on many unfolded dimensions of the policy. We look forward for your active participation and making the session invigorating and enjoyable. We are sure with all your good wishes, the program will be a grand success. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for fostering what is going to be the future role of AIMS, especially in terms of the contribution to the implementation of the national education policy. We look forward for dynamic leadership of AIMS, and best of luck for your first digital convention of AIMS in the history of AIMS, which you are going to organize from Bhubaneswar. Thank you, ma'am. And now, sir, I invite our Vice Chancellor, Professor Varun, Sahni, to take over the charge of the session. Sir, over to you.
Professor Ganga Prasad Prasain, Vice-Chancellor of Tripura University, Professor S A Kori, Vice-Chancellor of Central University of Andhra Pradesh, Professor Venkateshvarlu, Vice-Chancellor of the Central University of Kerala, Professor Sujata Mangaraj, President of the Association of Indian Management Schools, Professor B Ramesh from Goa Business School, Goa University, and also the distinguished speakers in the plenary session, including Dr. Bhimaraya Metri, Director of IIM Nagpur, Professor Rattan Sharma, who is the former president of AIIMS, Professor Upinder Dhar, Vice Chancellor of Sri Vaishnav Vidyapith Vishwavidyalaya Indore, also a former president of AIIMS, Professor Eknath Khedkar, Vice Chancellor of the D.Y. Patil University, Professor Karanjeet Singh, Vice Chancellor of the Jagat Guru Jaidev Nanak State Open University, Punjab, all the other distinguished speakers, all the participants. A very good morning to all of you. And we are so happy that we are organizing this entire event, both the Vice Chancellor's panel discussion, but the entire event about the National Education Policy 2020 and fundamentally about its implementation. We value very much, of course, our association with the Association of Indian Management Schools, and we are particularly honored that 3 central universities, the Central University of Kerala, the Central University of Andhra Pradesh, and Tripura University have joined us in this endeavor. I would not say very much because I think my purpose out here is to really lead the distinguished brother Vice Chancellors on this Vice Chancellors panel into their respective discussions. But I just thought I'd let you know a bit of what Goa is doing with regards to NEP 2020. I think, having discussions about the strengths and weaknesses of NEP 2020 may be all very well, but the reality is it is going to be for better or worse, and in most respects better, the education policy of our country going forward. And I think we need to start thinking very seriously about implementation issues. Now, among the implementation issues, when we in Goa, what we have done is the state government has set up a committee chaired by Sri Lakshmikant Parsekar, honorable former chief minister of the state. We've got a committee that is sort of looking at all aspects of how we would go about implementing NEP 2020 at the state level. I would like to just give a few ideas of the sort of ways in which we are proceeding. And I'm sure that there'll be resonances with what my co-panelists, brother Vice Chancellors, have to say. So, I mean, I think if looking at it, there are, as we have seen it in Goa, 5 critical sets of issues that we need to think about, resolve, operationalize. So it involves conceptualizing, also operationalizing. The first of them are issues relating to restructuring and consolidation. And some of the bullet points, and I literally have time only to speak in bullet points. So it's about restructuring of existing institutions, in accordance with NEP 2020, mapping the existing programs of study that we have and our various courses, identifying new programs that we need to introduce, and also new institutions potentially that need to be established. We need to think about inputs on the development of curricula, evaluation, pedagogy, and course structure, procedures and mechanisms with regards to graded autonomy, a framework for creating constituent colleges, a mechanism for attracting at least one high-quality institution to the state. Also, we have to think about the mechanism for mentoring at least one higher education institution in Goa to open a campus in a foreign country. Although, BITS Pilani, has a campus in Goa and also has a campus in Dubai. So to some extent, there is already one higher education institution in our state that does have an overseas campus. Mechanism for creating higher education clusters and knowledge hubs, creating, really conceptualizing what a multidisciplinary higher education system would be. For instance, would there in this future really be any place for standalone business schools, for example, which so far have been one of the architectural structures of management education, as you all know. But in NEP 2020, would these standalone business schools now have to become full-fledged universities in their own right? Maybe with management studies as kind of the core discipline, the core branch of knowledge, but with a bunch of other subsidiary branches of knowledge as well. So these are things we need to think about. Possibilities, of course, of offering programs at the doctoral and master's level in a whole range of cutting-edge technologies, whether it be nanotechnology, cloud computing, big data, machine learning, AI, and so on. Conceptualizing what the MERUs would look like, creation of an academic bank of credit, looking at what problems will arise with the discontinuation of the MPhil program, implementing of multiple exit options and certification of UG and PG programs, and also, thinking about our languages very seriously, thinking about programs in translation and interpretation, and also programs relating to culture, particularly relating to archaeology, fine art, museum administration, areas that traditionally the Indian higher education system has not focused adequately on. So this is kind of in some ways the first core area. A second area is professional education, where we have to think about how we would integrate professional education into the overall higher education system, procedures for converting existing standalone institutions into multidisciplinary institutions, reviving agricultural education, which is something that we really as a country need to think very seriously about, setting up of agri-techno parks, making the legal education system in our country globally competitive and globally interconnected, revising the curriculum for legal education, particularly to reflect the socio-cultural realities of our society, exploring the possibility of offering bilingual legal education, revising the duration, structure and design of healthcare education, preventive healthcare and community medicine become critically important, particularly in this period of the pandemic, and we need to think about that extremely seriously. We need to think about how we would collaborate with industry for innovation and research. How would we attract skilled faculty from industry into our institutions? How would we incorporate all of the emerging technologies, be it AI, big data, machine learning, biotechnology, neuroscience, but also at the undergraduate level, so that these are not disciplines that are sort of brought to the attention of the learner only at the postgraduate level. What would be the mechanism for teacher education at the multidisciplinary level? How do we recruit outstanding faculty, particularly in teachers education institutions, teaching assistantships, creating a pool of outstanding senior and retired faculty, which is very important in a state like Goa because we are a small state. So these are some of the core issues with regards to professional education that we will have to think about as we go about implementing NEP 2020 in our state. In terms of vocational education, we have to think about how we can provide vertical mobility to students who wish to get into vocational education after class 12th. We need to, of course, integrate vocational education into mainstream higher education. We need to ensure that there are vocational programs in all of our undergraduate programs. So vocational education is not just some separate stream of education, but we really genuinely need to mainstream vocational education. We need to think about the National Skills Qualification Framework, the NSQF, for all short-term certificate courses. We need to conduct at the state level skill gap analysis, and we need to map local opportunities. These are the sorts of the things that we are going to be focusing on with regards to vocational education. With regards to research, innovation, and industry linkages, we have to sort of think as a state about whether we'll be establishing a state research foundation in line with the National Research Foundation that is envisaged in NEP 2020, creating separate competitive funding opportunities for research in all disciplines, not just in the sciences, a mechanism obviously for developing effective academia industry linkages, for implementing a work integrated learning, possibilities of setting up incubation centers for different specializations, but also some incubation centers that are multidisciplinary, because it's those cross-cutting interactions across various disciplines where some truly innovative ideas emerge. Steps to encourage teaching faculty to obtain patents and not just focus on publications. Setting up a central instrumentation hub or several central instrumentation hubs across the state, where you really have the absolutely latest high-end scientific equipment, which is there for use across for various potential entrepreneurs, innovators. State-level hackathons in software and hardware categories. High-quality research infrastructure, obviously, goes without saying. And I think probably one of the most important items in this vertical is research and teaching collaboration with high-quality foreign institutions, really in an organic way, not in the sporadic way that we have seen with initiatives that already exist, like GYAN, which are important initiatives, of course, but in a much more kind of systematic and structured way. And the final vertical that we are focusing on in Goa relates to educational technology, open and distance learning, and the various learning platforms, learning management systems. Here we have to think about what ODL would look like in a state like Goa, which is geographically speaking, a small state. ODL has to take a different kind of form in Goa. Possibilities of creating adult education centers, creating a state educational technology forum, because there will be, as colleagues undoubtedly know, as envisaged in NEP-2020, a National Education Technology Forum, possibilities for exploiting the power of AI in its various manifestations, particularly in modeling, simulation, in repetitive skill enhancement, modules and so on, reducing the digital divide in the campuses so that all educational institutions have that bandwidth, that network that is essential today. We have to think about and how we encourage our own faculty to develop MOOCs, so higher education institutions do not just become consumers of massive open online courses, but also begin to produce MOOCs ourselves. Online assessment and examination is going to be a very critical element in this vertical. How do we incentivize teachers to integrate technology in teaching, not just during this pandemic, but looking ahead at the post-COVIDian situation, how this is not just something that is episodic, but becomes really a part of the regular way in which we conduct the teaching learning process. Possibilities of establishing virtual labs and strengthening content creation, digital repository and dissemination, and ensuring quality digital infrastructure for teachers and learners, which is extremely important. There have been massive investments in fiber optic cabling, not just in Goa, but in many parts of the country. Obviously, much more in urban centers than in rural centers. But I think we need to think about the digital divide and how we can get the digital infrastructure established. So I have just given you what may seem like a bullet points or a laundry list of the to-do things that we in Goa are beginning to systematically focus on. Each of these verticals, a group of us is sort of really brainstorming and thinking about, concrete, actionable things that can be done. And I'm sure that we would like to know of what other efforts being done, by our sister institutions, in other parts of our country, because I think we really need to have a very broad process of mutual learning here if we are going to actually, achieve the ends of NEP 2020. I have spoken enough. I have been listed in this Vice Chancellor's panel as a lead discussant, so I hope I have led the discussion. I will now turn it over to my co-panelists, my brother Vice Chancellors, starting first of all with Professor Venkateshvarlu, Honorable Vice Chancellor of the Central University of Kerala. Over to you, Professor Venkateshvarlu.
Thank you very much,
welcome to Goa University.
Professor Varun ji. Thank you very much. I think you gave a very comprehensive account of the NEP 2020 and what is in store for the educational system in Goa to do things. It has been, I think, a very uh, good coverage of the things to come. In fact, we were also discussing the same. For the last 2 months, we concentrated on telling the people, understanding ourselves, like what NEP is, the making up of NEP, the objectives that we have to achieve, and many webinars we have participated. And recently, I was in Delhi. I happened to meet the Honorable Minister of Education and also one or two senior officers of the Ministry of Education. It was very clear that they said, we have done our job, now it is your job to take it forward. That is, the policy making is done, and thanks to the efforts of so many members of the policy, Kasturi Ranganji and all the entire team, we must congratulate. And for a wonderful initiative by the Government of India to associate and also to take the suggestions across the country for a very long period, that the NEP is now on our table. The table on the book is there now. It's for us to go about how do we implement. Yes, there are. Yesterday I talked to Mizoram, and I have been talking to many central universities only, and most of the universities are now designing strategies and plan of action to implement the NEP 2020 in their own way. So therefore, we thought it fit that we share the ideas. On 21st, we are organizing a program of the central universities. Maybe we would also include some state universities so that we understand the whole mechanism of what it will be in a state university, what it will be in a central university. I fully agree with Professor Varunji, and I really appreciate and my hearty congratulations to his entire team in the state of Goa, that you are going ahead with a wonderful plan, a very good action strategy. As I know, I where we had 1,000 colleges affiliated to Usman University and about 500 colleges running commerce education and another 500 engineering, and so it's like MBA colleges about 150. So this kind of a diversity is there in state universities. Probably first what I feel is the implementation of NEP 2020 is a bigger challenge for a state university compared to central university, where there is no affiliation. That is, you have courses, you have deans, you have schools, you have departments. Probably things are a little more designed than a state university. Therefore, I foresee a lot of discussion and I foresee a lot of vision, and I think a lot of implementational strategy is required for the state universities, and as such the coverage of the state universities is very high. The catchment area, we can say, like, if you take Usman University, I don't know about the Goa University, like we are catering to about 4 to 5 lakh students through these 1000 colleges. So the challenge is very high, and I'm sure this is the time that we initiate this kind of a discussion on implementation and developing an action plan, and very specific action plan to get the results of NEP 2020, and we become global leaders, we become comparable, our students start studying here, our students start getting the fruits of the education, and education really builds the nation. That is the purpose. Education builds the a powerful nation. That is the theme behind the NEP 2020, which talks about NEP should lead to a knowledge society, and knowledge society should lead to lead the India to a global power. So there is a connectivity in the theme. There is a clarity in the theme. There is harmony. There is synchronization. Therefore, I am sure there is a huge task on the heads of all the educational institutions such as vice chancellors and other institutions to go about and take this as a great opportunity to implement the NEP 2020 in a right perspective. But what I expect and what I desire also is a lot of networking among the universities and a lot of collaboration in the implementation strategies developing, so that we can share our resources, not only ideas, but also resources, and therefore we come up with a good plan of action which will be beneficial to the society. And to talk about before, I have a few points for action, directional in nature. If we go into it, implementation, there are so many facets. Like our honorable vice chancellor has been talking about, almost about so many verticals are there. The action plan we are developing in different verticals in a different way. For example, online education, it is a different vertical, action plan is different. So for different verticals, different action plans need to be developed, then they need to be integrated. But here, I would like to say one thing about the NEP 2020 is, it basically talks about integral humanism. Integral humanism is actually it is the nature and character of a Indian university, where we have lot of diversity in Indian universities. The diversity should be understood in its totality, and a oneness should be created. This is a huge challenge. We have students from weak areas, we have students from urban areas, we have culturally different students coming from different, like in our central universities. And then we have so many segments of students with so many backgrounds are coming, and then oneness should be created. That is the challenge. Probably when we look at Indian Institute of Management, Indian Institute of IITs, or maybe ISB, there the input is somewhat uniform, but here in universities it is. So this is going to be a challenge. We can't probably give a same product, but this has to be addressed in our implementation. So to begin with, I have about 5 or 6 point agenda maximum for the action plan. Like, the question comes, where do we start? The implementation, where do we start? Now, probably, I think our Vice Chancellor has talked very correctly that the first starting point is restructuring of the educational system in a state, or let us say in a university. So restructuring, I would mean the provision created by NEP 2020 for the autonomous college, autonomy. So the autonomy, to begin with, not necessarily 100 colleges, 100% of the colleges, but in a state like, let's say, Goa, Telangana, or Delhi, whatever, some colleges need to be identified as full autonomous teaching institutions, where the courses are specifically designed, the courses are specifically implemented with a clarity in purpose. So step one, I would say that first, say, create state-wise autonomous institutions. Now that will send a kind of autonomous wave in the university, in the educational map of the country, and probably students will get aware that yes, we are going into. And then now at the university level, what I feel is the second important point is in the autonomy, restructuring and consolidation also is required. Now today, we suppose you take the universities, if we take, like, Usman University, I would like to give that's a very good example. In fact, that is, we have 53 departments. Now, 53 departments all acting independently, probably that is a huge task, independent, segmented task. Now, that really doesn't fit with multidisciplinary approach. Probably some consolidation into the schools and all schools under one, some 4, 5, 8 schools, as now the central universities are organized into the School of Biological Sciences, School of Physical Sciences, and they all work together and they can come together, and then they develop a multidisciplinary model of education. Probably that could be the second point of action plan for the universities. Then the third important point is faculty autonomy also is required. So autonomy for the college institution, then probably merging, demerging, whatever, some restructuring of the departments at the university level, so that they will send the same kind of communication to the entire affiliating institutions in the state. Then the third is faculty autonomy, that is very, very important. So my first prescription, I would say, is making the use of autonomy provision for the institutions at the college level, at the university level, and structuring and restructuring to suit the multidisciplinary model which is suggested, which is proposed by the NEP. Then the second important action plan, the going with the objective of NEP 2020, is a very laudable objective our NEP 2020 has, in that, like, we want to reach 50% of GER, which is a very laudable objective which compares with many other advanced nations. Then reaching 50% is about the technology. So my second action plan would be to think about the technology, and universities and the states must encourage the online programs. Then only we will be able to spread, disseminate, and have a long reach and a large reach of education to the massive canvas of the country. That is, we have 130 crores of population, and education, higher education needs are voluminous, very gigantic. The higher education needs are to be taken care by the system. Then that is, the offline system probably is not adequate. Therefore, technology must be used. Already, thanks to pandemic, I would say that we are slowly tasting the benefits of online education also. Now, these webinars that we are participating are a testimony to some of the benefits. There could be disadvantages, but there are benefits too, as premier organizations, educational organizations have already taken up much before the pandemic to go online. That is, online courses in some universities are much costlier than the offline courses. So they have, and therefore the technology must be relied upon. My third prescription, I would say, is multi-to integrated education. We call it as multi-dimensional course. That is, let me share quickly without talking the theory. We at the Central University of Kerala, we are thinking of BS Science and Technology, a 4-year degree program. Maybe from the next year, already Dean's Committee is in place. They are working towards it. We are trying to reach globally. We are trying to take the best curriculum across the world, BS Science and Technology, with a combination of many advanced science curriculum into that. Then we are also contemplating of BS Data Analytics, where we try to combine economics, mathematics, which is a very wanted global combination across the globe. Maybe a bit of finance, maybe a bit of data analytics and artificial intelligence. This kind of thinking, serious thinking, implementable thinking is going on at the Central University of Kerala. Probably in the next couple of months to come, we should be ready with this not segmented approach, but it is an integrated approach to education, where the segments are gone, and then integrated approach is developed for the education where, which is very relevant to the society, because ultimately, we have gone on to the last 70 years of model. We know that it has resulted in some good impact. There is no doubt about it, but the impact these days has been weakened, and everybody, including all of us, we have started questioning the relevance of degrees, the relevance of education, and how it has been impacted, how it is useful to the society. So probably this kind of multi-dimensional multidisciplined approach to education should lead to positive learning outcome. The learning outcomes should be positive, should be definitive, should be clear on what that course should lead to if properly implemented. Same way as NEP aims at, it is developing the human capacities in all dimensions, from all dimensions. That is not possible without a multidisciplinary approach, and also facilitating the student to have multiple entry and multiple. It's not just copying the foreign model, but definitely, as our experience shows, a student wants multiple entry and multiple exit. Then the last but one I can say, the first one is autonomy. That is the action plan where a university can initiate. The second one is technology action. The third one is developing a multidisciplinary curriculum into one or two different courses, or maybe three or four, depending on the internal resources. And my fourth prescription is, I would say, facilitation. I call it as facilitation. Now, what do we facilitate to achieve this? This is a question point. This has to be addressed in a professional way. Now, facilitation of the NEP 2020 requires about 4 to 5 different facets. First is, I would say, I'm a very strong proponent of strong admission criteria. I'm told how a Nobel Prize is, let us say, why a university is getting more and more Nobel Prizes. I am told that Chicago University has more number of Nobel laureates. So somebody was answering that Chicago gets the best talented student in the world, University of Chicago. That is, do we have the best admission test, in place? First, it will be difficult, but slowly the admission criteria, the uniform standard admission criteria to suit the learning objectives must be developed, must be implemented. Without that, all the exercise what we do, that will go waste. The teacher is put under frustration. Teacher cannot achieve his job, and it is very, very difficult. Of course, I'll try to conclude that in the facilitation, admission, then curriculum needs to be strengthened, curriculum needs to be updated, curriculum needs to be reoriented, and state governments and central governments have a job of giving the best infrastructure to the universities. Probably this is where most of the universities are lacking. As we go to NAC, go in the NAC for NAC inspection, we find some universities are having very good infrastructure, but some universities are having very bad infrastructure. By and large, we can say all private educational institutions, degree colleges, their infrastructure is very weak. Where they get only B grade or B minus, something like that. But A plus institutions are very few, that we are all aware. Now, infrastructure is the most important component in the educational system. So money needs to be pumped in. From where and all that is a question mark. But how we can develop the infrastructure is a most important area, which probably the governments and we vice chancellors and probably alumni, and realizing the resources across the globe, all these things, because we have enough of talent abroad, enough of talent of globally. Our students are placed probably when they are killed, when they are requested, probably they should be able to help us. And one important aspect of facilitation is mentoring is required in educational institutions, which can be started immediately. So with this, the last 1 or 2 points I would like to conclude. I'm really thankful to Professor B Ramesh, who has been my friend for the last approximately 3 decades, and I've been a good friend of Goa University. Like whatever the work that is entrusted by the Goa University, I used to come. We did work, and we also enjoyed the hospitality of Goa University many times. And I'm really thankful. And I would like to conclude that the takeaways from the action plan, what I've been talking about for the last 15 minutes or so. One is autonomy implementation. It is a possibility. Then second is access can be increased by way of technology. Third is integration, that is developing like courses I have suggested, we started already. Fourth important is facilitation, like student facilitation and faculty facilitation. And fifth, very important, which I have not discussed, networks need to be established among the institutions. That's what we are doing today. So what Goa University is doing should be known to Central University of Kerala. Central University, what it is doing may be known to the other universities, so that we can share common platforms, we can share common knowledge, we can share common themes, and probably it would be mutually beneficial. And the last, but not the least, that focus on research is the most important and vital aspect of educational system. By and large, we can say the research carried out in Indian universities, is to be re-examined. We are asking for PhDs, and how the PhDs are produced, and what is the quality, what kind of PhD we want. In fact, we were discussing about what topics are to be decided for the PhD, how are they relevant to the society. And this NRF is established by NEP 2020. Lot of focus is there. And research, we are developing a plan of action for research too. I don't want to share here with that, but a focus on research also is very much important for developing one action plan. So with this, I thank the AIMS, Madam Sujata, and all other team, Professor Ramesh, and all other my co-vice chancellors, Kori ji and Prasain ji and Varun ji. Thank you very much, and all the distinguished panelists coming up later in the day. Thank you very much for giving me this great and wonderful opportunity on this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Venkateshvarlu, for this presentation, and thank you very much for your enduring friendship with Goa University. We are very grateful for that. And I will now invite Professor S A Kori, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Central University of Andhra Pradesh, to make his presentation. Welcome, sir. Welcome to Goa University.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Good morning to all of you. Honorable Vice Chancellor of Goa University, Professor Varun Sahni, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Central University of Kerala, Professor Venkateshvarlu, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Central University of Agartala, Tripura, Professor Ganga Prasad, Prasain, Professor Ramesh, Goa University Business School, Professor Sujata Madam, Professor Rattan Sharma, the AIMS former president, the Honorable Vice Chancellors who have attended this webinar, distinguished speakers in this plenary session, distinguished invitees to this very important webinar jointly organized with the Association of AIMS, the Goa University, the lead universities, and other 3 universities. Very important topic on the NEP challenges. I think amongst all, the Central University of Andhra Pradesh is the very youngest. Started just 2 academic years in the before. We are in the 3rd academic year. Started our program in the JNTU Transit Campus. And we have only 4 undergraduate and 2 postgraduate programs. And planning to start another 10 new programs in line with the NEP, for which we're already making a plan for that. And I'm going to make some few slides on this occasion. Okay, that Just I'll share my presentation. So this is about the NEP. What is the topic which is given to us? I don't want to address most of the evolution of the policy. Most of them they knew about it.
Sir, we can't see your screen.
Oh,
We can't see your screen. Request you
one
to
second.
Yeah. I'll tell you when it comes on. You need to click share screen.
Share screen. Yeah. And
yeah.
Now it's seeing, sir.
Yeah, the PowerPoint is opening. Now you can go to full screen. Now we can see you, sir. Please carry on.
Okay. Thank you. So just the evolution of the policies, I don't want to make, because just I'm going concentrated on the challenges and other things. These are the major reforms what NEP is suggested, that 50% of gross enrollment ratio by 2035 and holistic multidisciplinary approach. As you, some of the things you already addressed in your introductory remarks, whether it could be a credit transfer, the model multidisciplinary education and research that is called as MERU, and so many other things. The graded autonomy, the phasing out of the affiliation system, the mentoring. There are so many other things which you already focused on the issues. Another thing is the internalization, then NRF, the setting up of a new institution, the standalone, and the minister has already made as a Minister of Education, and so on and so forth. A reality check on NEP, that 6 major challenges in the present scenario. The one is opening of universities every week is a Herculean task. If you look at the 50% of this GER, and maybe next 15 years, every week you have to open one new university to achieve this target. The numbers are no less daunting in reforms to our school education system. So almost 2 crore children who doesn't get a higher education, and how to accommodate these students in the next 15 years, that will be a big task. The funding is a big challenge, where the country is spending almost the 2% of GDP, another 0.67% for the research. Now they are expected to spend more than 6% of GDP under this pandemic issue is a big challenge in the current scenario. The current focus on healthcare and economic recovery will lower execution with the speed. So what NEP is the next 20 years of journey, that is what they promoted. I need to create a large pool for trained teachers. That is a bigger challenge because the paradigm shift is already taken place, and a lot of the new ideas has been floated in the NEP. The interdisciplinary research is another very, very important thing in the new education policy. Those are the 6 major challenges. Some gap between the teachers, because the teachers is the major role who can play this NEP implementations. And the factors relating to the teachers in the existing system, there is a lack of subject of master and a lack of pedagogy skills, not being able to provide the inspiration and motivation in the present system, the lack of commitment, the inadequate and improper use of technology. Only the use of technology has come during these pandemic issues and not much before. Hardly 2 to 3% of the faculty they are used to the technology. And inadequate faculty development and empowerment opportunities, and role modification from dispenser to the KSA to mentor. Recently, there is a survey, and we have only about 8 to 10% of a fascinate teacher, and another 15% is a dedicated teacher, and rest of the thing is the mediocre teacher. How to increase this fascinate teacher from at least 8 to 10% to 20%, and that 15% make it as a double of that. And then only it is possible to take into the other NEP issues. The factor relating to the students, the prior learning, insufficient preparation in the existing system, lack of motivation and commitment by the students, as Professor Venkateshvarlu has already addressed some of the issues, the inadequate attention, inability to keep the pace with the lecture, Even in Harvard and MIT, they came out with the recent statistics. Whoever teaches a class engage of whether it is 45 minutes or 50 minutes or maximum of 1 hour, the student concentration, the listening concentration is not more than 10 to 15 minutes. So how best our teachers are going to deliver in this 10 to 15 minutes is very, very important. And rest of the 45 minutes, the student concentration is decreases. It is something like a law of utility in your economics. When you have a taste of an apple, when you eat in the first one, it is going to be decreases either the third or fourth. Like that, over the period of even in 1 hour, and how to make more attractive, the teaching is under a challenge. And as per the other statistics, our class size is too large, and lack of IT infrastructure in the classrooms, and lack of incentives that reward to a good teacher, that is not missing, that is missing already. And lot of policies and other UGC also recommends to provide some incentives, people who bought a good research project, who contributed and who got a good teacher award, who publishes more international papers, whether the reach index is very high. So that concept has to be brought in. And faculty shortage leading to the heavy teaching loads. Now, as of now, across the country, almost 40 to 45% teachers are faculty vacations. These vacancies are existed. Then how do you expect the good teaching learning in the universities or in the affiliated system? That is a big challenge. The human sensory limitations like visual, audio visual, and memory. So those are missing in the current system. This thing has to need to be addressed. And liberalization of higher education is another big challenge. The freedom to charge fees, that is a very major issue. Even if we increase 100 rupees in an university system like Central University or any other government funded university, is a big challenge. All the time we have to depend on the government money only. And freedom to select and admit student, as Professor Venkateshvarlu is rightly said about it. We have a different varieties of student and other things. We have to conduct a test of the high standard. Otherwise, why we can attract, how it is very difficult to attract the Nobel laureates to any of the universities, or the collaboration is a big chain. And freedom to appoint a faculty and staff is another issues. The freedom to collaborate with foreign institutions, freedom to expand, as Professor Varun Sahni said that why can't the university can start one extension center in any of the abroad and other things wherever it is possible. And expansion is another issues. And freedom to diversify our program offerings is the major challenge. Freedom to operate the multiple shifts, so you can have the more number of students in the campus, you can go for multiple shifts like other institutions and other things. So the major thing is the autonomy. And though Government of India suggested that 10% of the existing affiliated colleges should be given to the autonomy, not even 2 to 3% of the colleges are given the autonomy status in the entire the whole country. The reason is they are going out of the university system. Some of the university doesn't allow the freedom to exhibit their talents, their good work and other things, because their importance is going to be reduced or their revenue is going to be reduced. So this kind of mindset is affecting our autonomy, the system. There are so many other the issues in the autonomy that has to be addressed. And most of the time universities are saying you're only academic autonomy, not the financial autonomy. Then if the financial autonomy is not given, how to excel there? Academic excellence is a big challenge. And as of now, only the country like India and Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka is having only the affiliated system in these 4 countries. The other countries, the university campus means minimum 20,000 students of all the disciplines in a one umbrella is running. So there is a exchange of thoughts, the exchange of ideas, the interdisciplinary activities are taken very nicely. But here it is a single mono faculty or single faculty related. We have separated out from the, say that is the engineering we separated out, medical we separated out, agriculture we separated out. So humanities we separated out, law we have separated out. So unless all these faculty and student comes and discuss together in a single campus, then how do you expect this interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary approach is a very bigger challenges in the existing system. And a new culture of learning has to be adopted in the university system and the colleges. And all the traditional will go now. The new thing has to be adopted by our teachers. The knowledge transfer has to be become a construct, a knowledge. Can't do, can do. Follow orders, now you follow your fashions. So learning is 24/7. Learn in a teams. Earlier, learning was alone. And design-based uh, uh, thing has to be turned out in our the system. So similarly, there are paradigm shift from required from traditional to the a transferred system of the process is very, very important. I'd given some of the examples, what the teacher has to do and what the student has to do, what is the responsibility of a teacher, what is the student in the new system. And the four major other challenges is increasing our capacity, improving the quality, enhancing the research, and internationalizing the engineering education. Already Professor Sahni Sahab has addressed in his introductory remark about the internalization of the engineering education. So that restructuring of all these, the apex bodies, the regulatory bodies has to go. Then only we can bring a informative systems in our uh, NEP system. The last one is all the time we are comparing with our the ratings. Why our universities are not listed in our the world ranking or Asian ranking or other QS ranking or Times ranking. Those are the universities were established 1,000 years ago, 500 years ago, and their teaching learning, their contribution is much, much ahead. And university started just 5 years and 10 years, which is very difficult to compare with the other the foreign universities who are established long, long ago. So because the parameters which were internationally designed in the QS or in our country ranking is much, much different. The how many faculty got a field prize and how many faculty got a Nobel Prize or other some prizes, and how many faculties written the publications in the Nature or Science Index and other things. Those are the parameters were considered. And here we have a varieties of the cadres of the institutions. We have an affiliated system, we have a private university, we have a state university, we have other thing, open distance learning, and so many a number of the issues which can't be taken into consideration for the ranking of universities. Let us do the ranking or rating within ourselves in the country itself, because higher education is concentrated only in India after our the post-independence, hardly 70 years or 60 years of its life. So it is very difficult to compare the universities' achievements with the 400, 500 or 1,000-year-old the universities. So that is the one I wanted to thank. And there are many challenges before, because NEP has given a broad idea of various issues, including the started with restructuring, the multidisciplinary approach, giving degrees and exit option. Again, you can have a multiple options. Then how do you monitor and other thing? It has given a broad idea, but bringing in uniformity, a policy making is a big challenge for the whole country, and which should to be in line with the faculty friendly, in line with the student friendly. And unless the country spends more on its GDP, as they proposed almost the 6% of GDP for higher education and other things, it is very, very difficult to expect the future. So they should give a faculty to be filled in all the institutions, all the state institutions. And though the private institutions have become more commercialization and other things, they will not get a good faculty, and they're all underpaid faculty. So that uniformity has to be maintained in the country, like any other Western or European countries, what they are following it up. That is a big challenge. And always, why our research and innovation has been reduced, because all the time that innovation has been missed out with the faculty, with the student. So that has to be encouraged in our the system with the NEP, then only it is possible. So I had given some of the challenges, what is the existing and what is the future to be looked into. And with this and the university has already conducted almost 30 webinar on NEP on various issues, what Professor Sahni gave a introductory speech. In all the subjects, we have conducted the webinar and making our proceedings and communicating to the MHRD for the when they make a policies and they make into the executive order. So these recommendations is going to be helpful. So on this occasion, I thank Professor Ramesh for taking the interest and collaborating with all the three universities. And though Goa University is a lead university, small, as sir said, the small is big. Though it is a small state, but you have taken the lead. So the small is big as per the nano. So I congratulate the Honorable Vice Chancellor for taking this initiation to organize this webinar, the 2020, the challenges and its strategies. Thank you. Thank you, Anand.
Thank you very much, Professor Kori, for that very, very thoughtful presentation. I'll now invite Professor Ganga Prasad Prasain, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Tripura University in Agartala, to please make his presentation.
Yeah.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Professor Varun Sahni. Honorable Vice Chancellor of Goa University, Professor Varun Sahni ji. Honorable Vice Chancellor of Central University of Kerala, my friend Professor H Venkateshvarlu ji, who is also former President of Indian Commerce Association. Honorable Vice Chancellor of Central University of Andhra Pradesh, Professor S A Kori ji. Professor Sujata Mangaraj, my friend Professor B Ramesh, all other esteemed Vice Chancellor who are in this program, who have joined from different parts of India, all the panelists, faculty members of Goa University, Central University of Kerala, Central University of Andhra Pradesh, and other Vice Chancellor and participants of the refresher course who are attending this very, very important program. As Professor Varun Sahni ji, Professor Venkateshvarlu ji, Professor S A Kori ji have already explained most of the important points of NEP 2020. I will also like to add few more points related to higher education. Since we are administrator in universities, therefore we'll take our time. We'll try to discuss how this higher education scenario under NEP 2020 shall be brought into account. Coming to the college education under NEP 2020, we have read and we come to know that in colleges, there will be composite courses. Say, for example, a student of science can also read one or two papers of arts and humanities. And also there will be multiple entries and multiple exit facilities in colleges also. That means one student of Goa University, after completing first year, if he want to go back to Kerala, then he can continue from second year onwards. He will get a certificate course from Goa University. He can continue in Kerala University and he can get a diploma. And again, due to some reason, if he has to come back to Hyderabad, then there he will do third year BA and he will get a bachelor's degree. So this type of composite exits and entry facilities have been provided in NEP 2020. Then again, those who are interested to do master degree and research, for them only 4-year BA is required. And also those who really want to go to research, for them 1-year master degree is to be done. Otherwise, they can stop their study after completing 3-year BA course or 4-year BA course. And also MPhil will be phased out under the NEP 2020. There will be no more MPhil courses in Indian University once we allow it, once we implement it properly. Then coming to another very, very important area where we have been discussing many times since the approval of the new education policy 2020 on 29 July 2020, we have been discussing during the whole month of August and September until today in different forums that there will be credit transfer, which is new in Indian University. We heard that credit transfer facilities there in America, Canada, Australia, but for Indian universities, it is very, very new. So I am worried, say, a student of one university can do 1 or 2 semesters and he can go to another university and he can continue 3rd and 4th semester. one student can complete first or second semester from Delhi University, then he can go back to Hyderabad, then he can do third and fourth semester. And there will be credit bank. University will be having credit bank, say student name and what are the courses he or she has studied, completed, passed, will be uploaded in the website of that university. So later on, when he will shift to another university due to some reason, then he can continue by adding the credit or the courses which he or she has studied before in one university, and he can go to another university. That option is there. So here, most important thing is how we can implement our great idea, our very, very innovative idea, which is very new for Indian university, this credit transfer policy. This is what we like to deliberate. And coming to research, what I understand is that our country, India, used to do very good research in the ancient time also. India and some other countries like Mesopotamia, Egypt, Greece, they were doing very advanced level research in the ancient time, but later on, due to various reasons, that could not be continued. And now also, investment in research in India is only 0.69% of the GDP. I repeat, our country, India, for research and innovation, we expend only 0.69% of GDP. Whereas other countries like USA, they expend 2.8% of their budget for research. And Israel, which is very, very small country, they expend 4.3% in research. And South Korea, which is another very, very small country, expend 4.2%. Therefore, our expenditure on research and innovation is very, very meager amount. Even we don't expend 1% of our budget, our GDP in research. So we need to improve. So Israel, we know that it is a very, very small country, but that countries have produced many scientists, even many Nobel laureates have produced by Israel, and that is leading in some of the important research area like agriculture. So when we talk about research under NEP 2020, we understand that in India, we have not done enough research in some of the important areas for which we have to do now. Our Honorable Prime Minister is talking about Atmanirbhar Bharat. So unless and until we develop village, then we cannot have the dream of Atmanirbhar Bharat. So we need to focus more research under NEP 2020 in the areas like drinking water and sanitation, quality of education in rural area, healthcare facilities in rural area, transportation in rural area, energy and infrastructure, which is very, very lacking in rural area, social services. Then also, as per the existing education policy, our government is focusing and investing and expending more amount of money in science and technology, whereas for area like humanities and social science, including commerce and management, our investment in research is very, very small. So under NEP 2020, when it will be implemented fully, then we need to give more attention in the areas of research like humanities and social science and rural area also. So for this, there is National Research Foundation. NEP has allowed to establish National Research Foundation. This National Research Foundation will develop a culture of research in our universities. Research will be promoted and it will be funded properly, and there will be NRF fund will be created and which will help in planning and decision-making research properly. And also, now also we have been doing research. There are many research projects, many research findings, but the findings are not properly implemented for policy planning and decision-making. Under NEP 2020, when research will be funded by a research funding agency, then the outcome, the findings of the research will be used for policy planning and implementation by the government agencies at different level. So it will be a great landmark under NEP 2020 in research area. In addition to NRF, the present funding agency like Department of Science and Technology, Department of Atomic Energy, Department of Biotechnology, Indian Council of Agriculture Research, Indian Council of Medical Research, Indian Council of Historical Research, Indian Council of Social Science Research. UGC will continue. In addition to this, there will be National Research Foundation, and this will be governed by Board of Governors. And it will be a coordinating agency. What we understand from NEP 2020 is that Research Funding Council will be governed by a Board of Governors, and that will decide where to invest money, whom to invest money, how much money will be given for research, and ultimately that will act as a coordinating agencies for funding research. So in higher education, it will be a revolution, it's a landmark revolution only when we fully implement the National Research Funding Council, and it will bring change in our university system also. In addition to all these things, I am still worried is that since we have been asked to prepare a credit bank, credit transfer. So for this, I would like to strongly suggest that let there be common curriculum at national level. For implementing NEP 2020 effectively, we must have a common syllabus at a national level. Then only we shall be able to implement it properly. Common syllabus may be given chance of 20% variation. For example, some courses of Tripura may not be prepared in the national common curriculum. Say, for example, history of Tripura, economy of Tripura, geography of Tripura may be added under that 20% relaxation facility. But a major portion of the common curriculum, say for example 80%, should be common for all the universities in India. Then only we shall be able to implement perfectly our idea of credit transfer and credit bank. Again, NEP 2020 has allowed the entry of foreign universities. Foreign university shall come and they will start their campus in Indian state. So that will bring competition among Indian university also. And at the same time, some of the best Indian university shall be also allowed to go to abroad, and they can start their campus in those countries where their service is necessary. So ultimately, this will bring competition among Indian universities, and in the long run, it will help in improving our quality also. So these are also very, very important challenges. Then another very, very important feature which we understand related to higher education is that these colleges will be given full autonomy. Colleges themselves can prepare their course curriculum, their salary, and they can conduct exam. And in course of time, maybe after 10 years or 15 years, this affiliation system will be phased out, and colleges may act as a university. But here, in many places like Northeast region, there are colleges with say minimum infrastructure. Building is small, teacher are very less. There are government colleges in Tripura, but in a college there are around 10, 12 regular teacher, and remaining classes are being managed by guest faculty or contractual teacher. So in such situation, how to go for autonomy? That is a great question mark, because giving autonomy need many faculty member, infrastructure, and various sections. So it will take time unless and until we increase our investment in education. Then this question of giving autonomy, developing college will also not give effective result. What I feel is that say many colleges may be combined together and they may have autonomy. Otherwise, single colleges in a small state like northeastern India, it will be difficult to follow the autonomy system in course of time. It is a big challenge for all of us. And initially, we may face many difficulties, but since it is a policy which has come out in our country, India, after a gap of 34 years, and with the policy, I hope that we shall be able to prepare the effective manpower, which will ultimately help for the development of our great country, India, because we need a dedicated, hardworking, effective manpower so that this country may also compete with other highly developed countries in course of time. So I will not take much time because there are other panelists also. These are some of the important points related to higher education, and I thank my friend Professor B Ramesh for inviting us in this very, very important online virtual meeting. And since this is a beginning only, and we cannot find some conclusion, we have shared our idea in course of time also, maybe later on also, we shall be meeting through online and we shall be sharing our idea. But main thing is that how to implement it. Because for this, we need to help each other. We need to share our knowledge. We need to share our infrastructure. We need to share our academic knowledge so that in course of time, maybe after 1 year or 2 years, we shall be able to start implementing slowly. I know it will take time, but it is a very, very challenging task for all of us. But we will certainly success maybe after a few years, and our outcome, our result will be certainly fruitful for our country, although it will take many years. But after those days, after those years, India will be able to produce best manpower for development of this country. With this, I conclude my speech here. Once again, I thank all of you for inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that presentation, Professor Prasain ji. And I'll now turn to Professor Rattan Sharma, former president of the Association of Indian Management Schools, to close down this session, this Vice Chancellor's panel discussion. Over to you, Professor Rattan Sharma.
Thank you very much, sir. Indeed, it is a pleasure and a proud privilege to extend a very extend this offer a vote of thanks to the eminent personalities that we have got here. I'm really thankful that this opportunity is given to me, that I should be extending this vote of thanks. And I must first of all congratulate the whole process to discuss the NEP implementation issues and challenges. I don't think there could have been a better panel than the one that we are having it today. It was being started with our Goa University Professor Varun, Sahni, Honorable Vice Chancellor. I think he rolled out a different plan how the Goa University really is getting into in the implementation part. This is all a hands-on exercise everybody is getting into. I think that is a benefit everybody really derives. I'm sure all my colleagues, those who are here attending the program, must be benefited with what really we are getting into it. He mentioned about the 5 different steps. I'll not get into the details of it, but the way, I think the nitty-gritty of implementation. I must mention a beautiful theory can be killed by facts. And that is what really happens many times. It happens, I think NEP is a laudable part. I don't think anybody can question it. I'm in management education for the last 40-45 years. We have been looking for the type of things that has really come out in NEP. Now, in a business, in a setup of IIM, in a setup of a private business school, in a setup of university, but I think the way NEP has come out is really wonderful. So first part is this, but implementation, the way Professor Sahni really has laid out the road, how they have really tried to get into it, in terms of how will they try to really integrate the professional education with higher education. I think this remains a very important part. Higher education in any way, I think we got a multiple disciplines and multiple courses, but I think integrating that is a very crucial part of it. Vocational study, once again, I think this has been highlighted by Professor Sahni that this has been given a step motherly treatment always. Vocational training, vocational education has always been said to be something, I mean, it has been taken as a very inferior thing. But now I think this is a part in the higher education setup. And I think +2 onwards, I think that is another thing. And that's how their Goa University is trying really to have a committee for all this. He also mentioned about the research, how to integrate the research, in fact, in the academic field. And research, as we all understand, we are in fact doing a lot of research, not that we don't. But I think the research that we are doing is of a very different type. The whole objective is very different. It's a paper writing, not useful for the society, not useful for solving the problem. And what Professor Sahni mentioned was that we should really try to integrate and try really to get into this part, starting with the incubation centers and other things with the different disciplines. He was mentioning it to that. Then also mentioned a very collaborative efforts. I think that is the very crux. Many times we are collaborating, but collaborating and cooperating only for sharing the ideas as we are doing it. But I think the resources also need to be shared, is to be really looked into and seen that. And he mentioned how Goa, in fact, university is getting into educational technology. I think that is again an important thing. I must say that COVID-19, in fact, has accelerated the whole process of usage of educational technology in our education system. In fact, personally, let me say it, of course, I never used online teaching. I mean, and I'm in the field of management education because I always loved offline. But now for the last 4 months, I'm teaching online and I'm comfortable with teaching it. Except, of course, there are certain limitations. The point remains, COVID-19 has accelerated the process. And there's going to be hybrid learning. How Goa is doing it is a wonderful part. And he mentioned, in fact, very nicely about the digital divide, which probably this is in all states, whether Goa or Andhra or Delhi or for that matter, how really we should try really to get into that. Professor Sahni, it has been really wonderful really to listen to you. And you have really not only led the discussion, you have really set the tone of the discussion further. We are so grateful and thankful to you. In fact, this is really for whole plenary and other sessions. This would be a great thing. So nice of you, sir. Thank you very much. And also not only being a part of it, but also giving thoughts really to share and also to take it forward. On behalf of AIMS and also on behalf of the organizers, we are really thankful to you. Thank you, sir, once again. I don't know, we should say give a big hand, but I think we can always do so. Absolutely nothing. The second speaker, in fact, was once again a wonderful, in fact, Honorable Vice Chancellor with the Central University of Kerala, Professor Venkateshvarlu. In fact, these are all hands-on, my friends, those who are attending this program. I think you must be knowing they are all hands-on people. They know what are the problems. We all understand those problems, but the question is how we have to implement it. As I said it, anything you can do it. Ideas are always good. I think the difference in the success, difference in excellence lies in implementation. If you are able really to execute it properly, that is the spirit and the contents, I'm sure you are going to get that. And Professor Venkateshwarlu really mentioned about very important things because he was mentioning that this is how we have really to get into that part. So he came out with a lot of those issues. And of course, we all aware, but he reinforced education built the nation, but it's a very powerful nation. We got all faith in our nation. I think we can do wonders which we get into that. He also tried to get into networking and a very collaborative space. This is important, not only for the ideas, but also some of those resources. I'm sure we all, in fact, will try to think from that point of view. He mentioned about some of those points, which I'll get into small little those details. Restructuring our education system, with Professor Sahni also mentioned, how really we should try to get into this autonomy of the colleges at the university level, what we should try to get into that, how we should try to consolidate the whole process. Faculty autonomy, he really emphasized on how we should get into. He also mentioned about the multi-dimensional or multidisciplinary subjects that we should try to get it. Because that is what really the nitty-gritty is. And I think that is, many of those sessions, we are all seized with the problem. It's a good idea, laudable idea, but how really to implement those ideas? But he being ahead of the university, trying really to implement how we should try to get into that. So it's what we say, non-segmented education system that we are having it, not only at the university level, but also at the departmental level, with various courses we try to get into that. And that is very important. He also referred about the facilitation process that we should have it, along with the infrastructure, and also those refers to the mentoring process, because ultimately it requires some of the senior people, senior institutions, experienced people should be mentoring the whole process, because the big shift is, I should say, transformation, which is through a shift which is totally different, we never thought of, but we have been waiting for it, which has really come. So we are thankful to you, sir. Professor Venkateshwarlu, it is wonderful really to listen to you. And it was really very enriching that how really we should really go about the implementation part of it. Thank you, sir. Next, Professor Kori, I think again from the AP University, he conceptualized, made a presentation as to how we should try to go for it. Because it's not only the operationalization of the whole issues, but also it requires something about the conceptualization, the whole process. And as he said, it being a university which is still to go for, I mean, few courses, limited courses. And he has all, in fact, the way, the spirit which he presented the whole process. I think it's really wonderful. I'm sure it will be something very successful in the implementation process, given the zeal and the clarity he was having it. So nice of you, sir. Indeed, it is a pleasure to listen to you once again, Professor S A Kori. Honorable Ganga Prasad Prasain, sir, Agartala, which is from Tripura, I think he made again those points. I think these points were very, very important ones. He reinforced, re-emphasized those points, and he really said it, all right, this we can do it, but it requires a lot of resources. Funding is required. How really to get those funding? Funding is something which we have really to create. And given the constraints the government is having it, and we all are facing during this time, it is very difficult. He mentioned about the very overall recommendation. The spirit is very good. He really said so. But again, there's a question of how we really try to implementing it. Uniformity, and he was emphasizing that we credit transfer that we said, ABC. How really we do it unless we have a uniformity in terms of the course structure, the curriculum, and I think the whole process, because learning has to be in a certain way, with a certain directional changes or what is possible. So that he emphasized, in fact, in the whole process. And he really welcomed for a university, for a competition, and the college autonomy, which can probably lead to many things.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
So thank you for all the guests.
I was Ramesh. I know. I should also thank our president Sujata. In fact, she spent time and she's very enthusiastic in terms of this. And I also thank, because this inaugural session, B Ramesh. I know you're a friend of mine, but I think you did a lot of work, in fact, in the whole behind it. We are thankful to this on behalf of AIMS, though you are a part of it, but still, as a Goa Business School, it has been a wonderful thing also. Thank you very much, and thanks for giving.
Thank you all the Vice Chancellor for joining this wonderful panel discussion. Now we move on to the next session, as we have already overshot our time. And the guests are waiting for the plenary session. Thank you all. Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you, Ramesh.
Thank you.
Professor Metri. Good morning, sir. Good morning.
Good morning, Professor Upinder. Professor Upinder, can you please? Yeah. Good morning, Professor Upinder.
Good morning, all of you.
Good morning. Good morning, Professor Metri.
Good morning,
and
sir.
Professor Rattan Sharma has been there since morning. Now, congratulations, Professor Metri, in your new assignment. Because earlier I saw IIM and Trichy at the background. Now today I see a different name. IIM Nagpur.
Yeah.
So now, can we start the session? Dr. Sriram, are you there? Dr. Sriram? Sunil, please allow Sriram to join. Sunil?
Yes, sir. Done, sir.
Yeah, am I audible, sir?
Yeah. Put on your video. Mute your video. Sriram.
Yes, sir.
So now I request my colleague from Goa Business School, Dr. P. Sriram, to introduce the honorable speakers in the first plenary session, which is led by Professor Upinder Dhar, Vice Chancellor from Sri Vaishnava Vidya Vishwavidyalaya. Over to you, Sriram.
Yeah, thank you, sir. It's my privilege to introduce for today's plenary session discussants Dr. Upinder Dhar, sir, who is the Vice Chancellor of Sri Vaishnava Vidyapith Vishwavidyalaya, Indore. Earlier, he was Group Additional Vice Chancellor and Pro Vice Chancellor of Academics, Amity University, Noida. and he has conducted more than 650 management and faculty development programs for the executives of major business houses and faculty members of academic institutions respectively. He has also been guest faculty at IIM Calcutta, IIM Indore, IIM Trichy, and IIM Roorkee. Besides undertaking consultancy assignments, he has authored, co-authored, edited more than 700 publications. He already published 36, produced 36 scholars have been awarded under his guidance. And he is also a fellow of ISDD and strong proponent of case method. Dr. Dhar was conferred Ravi J. Mithai National Fellow Award by the Association of Indian Management Schools, AIMS, in 2018. He has been the panel of reviewers of a number of international journals, such as International Journal of Training and Development, Human Resource International Journal, and so on. He has also been on the panel of experts maintained by NAC Bangalore, NBA Bangalore, ICSR New Delhi, and SAQS Hyderabad. He was president of Anthropological and Behavioral Sciences section of the Indian Science Congress Association 2007 and 8. He's also been member of the Council of Management of Association, member of Atma, and he's having right now different directorate positions in various premier institutions around in the country and outside the country also. Dr. Dhar was awarded Commonwealth Fellowship twice to present his papers at South Asian Management Forums, held at Royal Institute of Management, Bhutan, and Lahore University of Management Science, Lahore. He was invited by the American Society for Engineering Management as resource person for case method during the International Annual Conference held at Ministry in 2013. He has also visited 18 countries for professional and academic interest. He has been on the High Poverty Expert Committee constituted by MHRT, UCICT, and Honorable Governor of Uttar Pradesh. Currently, he is the member of the Standing Committee on Specifications of Degrees under Section 22 of the UC Act. And we have such an eminent person for today's plenary session. Sir, on behalf of today's event, welcoming you, sir, to chair the plenary sessions on implementation of challenge of multidisciplinary institutions. So over to Professor Ramesh to invite the first the participants. Shall I move to the next one?
Please introduce all the speakers.
Yeah. So I would take the opportunity to welcoming Dr. Bhimaraya Metri, Director, Indian Institute of Management, Tiruchinapalli. He is a distinguished academician, renowned teacher, notable researcher, and an astute administrator, an outstanding leader of the management education. He has performed key leadership roles at many premier management institutes and corporates in remarkable career. Under his dynamic leadership, IIM Tiruchinapalli has attained a position among the League of Top Business Schools in India. He has also contributed immensely as a dean at L&T Institute of Project Management, Vadodara, IIM New Delhi, MDA Gurugram, and leading research programs at BITS Pilani. A renowned expert in the area of project management, infrastructure and smart cities management, quality management, and supply chain management. He has numerous research articles and books to his credit, apart being on the editorial advisory boards of several national and international journals. Currently, Dr. Metri is the member of Indian National Commission for Cooperation with UNESCO under the chairmanship of Sri Ramesh Pokrai Nishank, Honorable Minister for Human Resource Development. He is also on the panel of experts for monitoring Institute of Eminence and also the chairman, All India Board of Management Sciences, AICT, New Delhi. He is also the chairman of Resource Management Sectional Committee of Bureau of Indian Standards Chairman, and like that, he would be the member for various premier committees constituted by government, state government, and central government at national and state levels. He has also served earlier as a member of various national committees, and Dr. Metri has trained at the Vice Chancellors of central, state, and deemed universities in the country. He has also trained a large number of directors, dean, principals, HODs, leading engineering institutes, including NICs, and the premier business schools in India. Dr. Metri has provided consultancy to various premier organizations like NTPC, IOC, and DTC, and Railway Land Development Authority, etc. So he widely traveled all over the world across 4 continents and 29 countries. He has visited a large number of business schools and universities in these countries and has led a successful national and international accreditations and re-accreditation programs. And for such illustrious contributions to society, he has been bestowed with several prestigious awards. Awards like Aima Keval Nohira Award for Academic Leadership in Management Education, Distinguished Services Award by Asia Pacific Destination Science Institute, etc. Dr. Metri received his PhD from IIT Powai, Mumbai. Dr. Metri is the member of Decision Science Institute of DSA, USA, and the Institute of Supply Management, USA. Sir, we have very privileged to invite you for these academic sessions. Now I'll be moving to the third panel discussant today. I extend a warm welcome to Dr. Rattan Sharma. Rattan Sharma has a rich experience of more than 40 years in the field of education. During this period, he has worked at various prestigious institutes. Currently, he is associate with the Vivekananda Institute of Professional Studies, Technical Campus, Delhi. He is immediate past president of AIMS, body of approximately 800 business schools in the country. An alumnus of Sri Ram College of Commerce, Delhi University, Dr. Sharma began his career in teaching in affiliated college of Delhi University. Some of the elite institutes where he worked: Indian Institute of Management, Management of Development Institute, MDA Gurugram, SP Jain Institute of Management Research, and there are many institutes where he worked previously at different levels. Dr. Sharma was an EFMD fellow in Manchester Business School, UK. He's a member of professional bodies and helps various institutes in the efforts to provide qualitative and relevant management education in India, not only in India, in outside countries also. In addition, he was a visitor nominees to provide nominee in a Department of Commerce at Aligarh Muslim University, Faculty of Management Studies in Delhi University, and also member of Committee of Credit Appraisal and Evaluation of Pickup. He is a professional trainer and conducts short-term duration programs for executives at various levels in the corporate as well as government sectors and help sharpen their management skills. He has conducted more than 200 short duration programs in entire India. He is having his PhD from Commerce Department, Delhi School of Economics, Delhi University, and other of number of articles, research papers in the field of commerce and management. And he also bagged the best article award for the year 1987 in Institute of Chartered Accountants. He has been examining number of PhD theses for various institutes. And he interacts with the industry and government sectors in various capacities at various levels. Sir, it's a very privilege to have today in our discussions, and we warm welcome to you for the panel discussion today. Sir, it's over to Professor Ramesh.
Yes, sir. I invite Professor Upendra to take over.
Thank you very much. At the outset, I would like to welcome my friends, first Dr. Bhimaraya Metri, to this panel, Dr. Rattan Sharma also to this panel, and I'm sure that this discussion is going to be very enriching. I would also like to, before we start the discussion, I would like to congratulate Dr. B Ramesh for taking the initiative to associate 3 central universities with Goa University and of course AIMS for this very important and timely discussion on NEP 2020. We already heard 4 eminent vice chancellors during the inaugural session who have highlighted the major issues and challenges in implementing the NEP 2020. So far as our panel is concerned, this first plenary discussion is concerned, it will be mainly focusing on the implementation issues and challenges of multidisciplinary institutions. Because in NEP 2020, one of the focus areas is multiple disciplinary approach. So therefore, it is obvious there may be some repetitions, but we as speakers will try to minimize those repetitions. And such repetitions, if there are at all, should be taken as reiterations than just repetitions. The main thrust of this policy in higher education is to end the fragmentation of higher education. See, the term used is fragmentation of higher education by transforming higher education institutions into large multidisciplinary institutions or universities, colleges, and higher education clusters, each of which will also aim to have 3,000 or more students. So the focus, one of the major focuses of NEP 2020 is on restructuring the higher education institutions in the country. Now I can see some major challenges. See, our country has around 1,000 universities at present. But the focus or the aim set by NEP 2020 is to double the enrollment ratio, gross enrollment ratio, GER, in higher education by 2035. That is in doubling in the sense that in 2018, the GER in the country was 26.3%. And NEP has aimed at GER of 50% by 2035. That means almost approximately, you can say, doubling the enrollment. So therefore, the number of institutions also need to be increased. As it has been mentioned by Professor Kori, that if we calculate, we have to establish one university every week. Is that practical? Or isn't it a big challenge? Isn't it a massive challenge opening one university every week on an ongoing basis? It is a big challenge. We need to find the solution, how it can be done. So how can we establish a higher educational institution, one higher educational institution, not only universities, other higher educational institutions per week? This is first challenge that I can see. Second challenge is from the funding standpoint of view. From this funding standpoint, NEP 2020 envisages an increase in education spending from 4.6% to 6% of GDP, which amounts to around rupees 2.5 lakh crores per year. The policy comes into being at a time when economy has been battered by COVID-19 and related lockdowns, low government tax collections, and high fiscal deficit, even pre-pandemic 19. Economics have been advising to go for large stimulus packages amounting to double-digit percentage of GDP, despite the strain on the exchequer. Well, while the national education policy is a 20-year journey, one worries that we may be off to a stumbling start over the next 2 to 3 years at least, when government and budgetary priorities are focused at healthcare and economic recovery. See here, because of the pandemic, because of this COVID-19, which has come all of a sudden across the world, it has affected the whole world. It has disrupted institutions across the world. And educational institutions are not an exception. But at the same time, the focus of the government and the budget the priority will be to take care of the health, the damages that this pandemic is making and has made, to take care of the repairing mechanism, to take care of the healthcare and recovery of the economy. So under such circumstances, can we raise our education spending to the 6% of GDP? That's another challenge. And the third challenge that I can see in higher education, the interdisciplinary learning is a welcome step, no doubt. There is no doubt about the very positive aspects of our NEP 2020. It will definitely transform the education system in the country. But the challenge is this: universities in our country have, for decades, in fact from the beginning, or for at least from last many decades, been highly departmentalized, which are very rigid territories. Professor Kori also mentioned about it, that there are, he gave the example of Osmania University, that there are 53 departments. Similarly, in other universities also in the country, departments are there, multiple departments are there, and unfortunately, these departments are having very rigid territories. One department does not want to look into the territory of the other department. This is the present situation. Now, how to break these territories for having the multidisciplinary approach, how to break these territories. Changing the mindset of the faculty is a big challenge. It requires a cultural shift in the entire higher education ecosystem over the next 15 to 20 years. It is doable, but it's of course at the same time a challenge. Challenge 4 that I see is that we have around 14 lakh faculty members in higher education. At present, there are 14 lakh teachers in higher education. It's a challenge to train them in new age skills. 14 lakh teachers cannot be trained in 1 year. So it's a big challenge to teach them or to train them, particularly train them in new age skills. Fifth challenge that I can see in the implementation of National Education Policy 2020 is the classification of all higher education institutions into 3 categories. 1, research universities or research intensive universities. 2nd, teaching universities. And 3rd, autonomous degree granting or degree awarding colleges. The country has around 40,000 colleges. And the challenge is to convert a large number of affiliated colleges into autonomous degree awarding colleges through graded autonomy in the span of 15 years and abolish the affiliating system in the country. This is correct. There are only few countries left which are having this affiliating system now. Besides our country, it is Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka. But then our country has a massive size in comparison to the other countries. Can we do it? Can we convert all these big, large number of autonomous or affiliated institutions into autonomous institutions in the span of 10 to 15 institutions? On one hand, we understand that is a very good philosophically, ideally a very good suggestion that NEP has introduced, that in NEP bonds that affiliating system should be scrapped. It's a very good suggestion because like Osmania University is already having 1,000 plus affiliated institutions. Pune University is having 800 plus affiliated institutions, and so on. There are many universities in the country having more than 600 affiliated colleges, more than 500 affiliated colleges, and with the result, these universities are around the year busy with examination only. So when we say examination and assessment, naturally teachers get involved. So lesser time is left for the teachers to do research. So that's why it's a very good suggestion. But then in terms of implementation, is it not a big challenge to convert these, to scrap affiliating system and convert these large number of affiliated colleges into autonomous colleges through graded system? So this is a big challenge that I can see. Can we do it, and how we should go about it? Then the 6th challenge that I can see is the availability of faculty in multidisciplinary streams, which is one of the major challenges. The distribution of faculty across streams or disciplines is not balanced at present. There are certain disciplines where we have faculty, maybe enough faculty in terms of the keeping the demand in view at present, but there are certain disciplines where demand is high, but there is deficiency. Even our pioneer institutions like IITs and IIMs are having deficiency so far as the faculty is concerned at present. Thus, it's a challenge to attract and develop the faculty in those disciplines in which there is grave deficiency. See, if we have to focus on, and we have to in any way, we have to focus on multidisciplinary approach. Every university has to be a multidisciplinary institution. Every higher education institution has to be a multidisciplinary institution. But then the challenge is to have balance, to have uniform balance as per the need of the faculty in these disciplines. So how to overcome the shortage of faculty is definitely a challenge. The seventh challenge that I can see, challenge 7, is the connect between multidisciplinary mix of courses and employability. How to connect the multidisciplinary mix with the employability. Say, for example, if there are 2 students with B.Tech degree, for instance, mix will be different. Maybe certain number of credits they have earned in engineering, but there will be the other component where the mix will be different. Will these 2 students be equally employable? That is a challenge. So how to work out such a system so that employability of the pass outs enhances, so that it does not become a block for certain students if they have chosen a different kind of mix. A student, say for example, a B.Tech student, if he has chosen the courses of his choice from, say, history, geography, and on the other hand, another B.Tech student has chosen some paper courses of his choice from economics or management. Now, will these 2 students be at par so far as the employability is concerned? Now, lastly, because we have other eminent speakers, which I would like to give them sufficient time. Now, last challenge, keeping this multidisciplinary approach in view, is designing new programs. To design new programs so that they are attractive, so that they are meaningful, so that they lead to the citizens, they give rise to the citizens who are useful to the society at large. So designing in itself is a challenge. So these are the 8 basic challenges that I see at present. Now I would like to give time to our highly very eminent speakers who will be enriching the discussion further, and I will come back later on for contributing my ideas. So first of all, I would request Dr. Bhimaraya Metri, Director IIM Nagpur, to share his views. Dr. Metri.
Thank you very much, Professor Upendra Dar, for giving a very strong foundation for the discussion and the topic of new National Education Policy 2020. I take this opportunity to thank Professor Ramesh for organizing timely this particular discussion. And I think I'm very happy that 2 esteemed members of the panel, Rattan Sharma ji and chairman of the panel, Upendra Dar. So I'm very happy to be part of this team. So to begin with the new national education policy, I think discussions are going on since its inaugural function. NEP 2020, I must say, it is a gold standard. It is not only gold standard for India, but it is going to be a gold standard for rest of the world. Entire world, maybe once we start implementing, entire world may follow NEP 2020. Because the genesis of NEP 2020 is basically to build a character, to build a holistic human being, and focus is from materialistic growth to holistic human being, to focus on all being, and focus on the central principle of this NEP 2020 is people and planet first, profit at the last. So that is the focus of this particular NEP 2020, and the focus is on global level, global citizenship, global social responsibility. These are the focus, and as rightly Professor Upendra Dar rightly said, it is a shift of mindset of not only students, but every stakeholders in the education system, including professors. And that is how NEP 2020 is going to make a mark. It is a landmark policy, I must say. Now, when it comes to multidisciplinary approach, one of the important elements in the NEP 2020 is a multidisciplinary approach. Now, multidisciplinary approach, as a chairperson of the panel rightly said, a compartmentalization of departments. So many departments in universities and affiliation. So all are disconnected. We don't know what left hand is doing, what right hand is doing. There is no connection, there is no alignment. But in multidisciplinary approach, basically entire university with various departments, centers, divisions, sections, all together they are working for one vision and one mission of university, and everybody will be all the time on one page, and that is the focus of this new national education policy, and that is where this particular policy is going to make a difference. In multidisciplinary approach, the moment we talk about multidisciplinary approach, university has many examples, so many departments in one university, and all kinds of specialization. Now, a student who joins the university, he joins with some dream to achieve, to realize the dream. When students join, universities are set up to realize the vision and mission as per the mandate given by the law of land of that particular country. So when it comes to students, students join the university to achieve the dream, to realize the dream. And when somebody joins particular course, then what all the essential requirement for that particular dream, students can visualize and students can get the T-learning. So T-learning means he will be specialized one particular area, at the same time he will be learning multi-disciplinary areas. Different areas he will be having the knowledge in general, but one area he will be having a specialization. So the vertical part of the T is the specialization, and horizontal part of the T is he will be studying different courses. And it is all about T-learning, and to become a holistic human being, to build a character and to achieve and realize the dream. This T-learning is essential, not only merely specialization in one area and no idea about what is happening rest of the areas. So that doesn't work. So that is where T-learning comes from, multidisciplinary approach. Now, to implement, yesterday only I received the mail from University Grant Commission. Now university started, created different expert groups for implementation of national education policy. And they have created one group, I think I may be happy to say here that one of the group where they have called it as a expert group on integrated higher education system. So this integrated higher education system covers the aspects like technical education, vocational education, skills, employability, professional education. So these are the 4-5 verticals. This higher education integrated system, one group, and I think maybe UGC might have created many groups. One of the group, I am participating in this group for implementation of new national education policy. Now the purpose of this particular implementation, because many good policy kept on the shelf, it doesn't give the result. Success comes through the execution. And you know that if the gun is given to the Jaspal Rana, he can hit the nail. If gun is given to all of us, we may hit here and there, but we may not hit the nail. So execution is extremely important. The way we execute, what degree of accuracy we use for execution, that is going to make a mark. A degree of success in NEP lies in the execution, a degree of execution. And that is where the multidisciplinary approach, what I can see is, as Professor Upendra Darji rightly brought out, two things. One is about employability. Multidisciplinary approach, unless until you have T-learning, you cannot be an employable person. Apart from that, you have to be first, being is important. What kind of person you are? Knowing, being and doing. These three things are important for any individual in education system. Knowing means it is all about the competency and knowledge. Being means your value, the character, and doing means the skill. Knowing means knowledge and doing means skill. All the three things, knowing, doing and being, so that building the character and also employability, where the knowledge and skill, these two are required. And today, in this knowledge economy, Google gives all kinds of knowledge, and students before coming to the college, they are knowledgeable. But building competency is extremely important. Competency has taken over the knowledge in this context, and particularly in this digital disruptive world. And that is where multidisciplinary approach, the best successful example in the country, I always see Birla Institute of Technology and Science, Pilani. BITS Pilani, I worked for 5 years, around 5 years over there. So since long, many decades, BITS Pilani is operating under the multidisciplinary approach. I was one of the fortunate to work over there for a few years, 2001 to 5. There used to be 850 intake, and 850 students can have 850 timetable. Each one of them can have their own timetable, and they can attend the classes without missing the single class. Those who get up late, they can start their class as late as 12 o'clock, and those who get up early, they can start their class as early as 6:30 to 7. And classes starts from 6:30 to 7 night up to 9 o'clock. And each one of them can have their own timetable. Those who attend morning classes, afternoon, they can have their own time for study and discussion. Those who attend the afternoon, morning, they can have. So that kind of flexibility, rigidity is the stupidity, and new national education policy, it is totally agile. It is totally, a flexible one. And each one of the students can customize the package for achieving their dream, to realize the dream. And BITS Pilani, students who join the biology department, he can get the job in computer science and go to US and go to any other part of the world and pursue their career. So what I want to say is, there are few core courses and there are many courses from different departments. Student is free to choose the course. In BITS it is called as a Janta courses. Some courses are common to all, because as a part of T-learning, you need to learn those courses. You need to have good communication skill. You need to have a little bit of knowledge about the account and financing. So all those kind of T-learning comes from the multidisciplinary approach, and the best model today, I can say, BITS Pilani, already it is implemented long back, and a new education policy has brought. I am sure BITS is one of the living example how it is also Institute of Eminence, Government of India has recognized. So multidisciplinary approach, evidences of success stories you can find at that particular university. So apart from that, as Professor Dhar rightly said, I also would like to emphasize to successfully implement multidisciplinary approach as a part of NEP 2020 implementation. A training to the teacher is extremely important. Now, training to the teachers, as number of teachers, 14 lakhs or so, it is all the number we are talking about. So if this is the big number, but nothing is impossible, everything is possible. Only way to do is how structured way we plan. Those who planned, executed, and those who executed and then looking at the outcome. Basically, planning and execution both should go in hand, and probably changing the mindset of professors and teachers from existing to the new level as per the NEP. That is extremely important. So to change the mindset, to build the culture, not only to inculcate the new knowledge, focusing on building character and holistic human being, it is also important to change the mindset, and also collaboration and cooperative mindset we have to build. Future belongs to those teachers and faculty members, those who collaborate, those who cooperate, work in a team. It is a multidisciplinary, means basically it is a cross-functional team. Different department using all the expertise available, each one of them, how to build that, how to tap the potential and help the students to achieve their dream. And that is possible once we have systematically, and there is a huge budget made available for training the teachers. I'm sure once we train the teacher, once we change the culture, once we shift the culture, I'm sure implementation of multidisciplinary approach is not out of the scope. It is going to happen, and I'm sure the way currently University Grant Commission, Ministry of Education, they are working on that, very soon, immediately after the inaugural function of the new national education policy. Yesterday only the circular has come for expert group, I'm sure, and deadlines are very tightly given. I'm sure very soon, what Professor Upendra sir said, it is a 20-year, I'm sure, much before 20-year we will implement, and many countries may also ask our expertise to implementation of NEP 2020 in their countries. With this, if any questions I'll take up, I wish you all the best for this particular event, and thanks for the Ramesh, and I'm ready to take up the questions. And thank you very much, Professor Upendra, for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Thank you very much, Professor Metri. So collaboration and cooperation is going to be the buzzword.
Yeah.
We can achieve multidisciplinary approach is achievable, but at the same time it's a challenge. We can overcome this challenge, but planning is very much required. Changing the mindset of our teachers is also a challenge in itself. We can do it, but yes, we need to have proper planning. Now, thank you very much, Professor Metri. Now I would invite my friend, Dr. Rattan Sharma, to share his views. Dr. Sharma. Professor Rattan Sharma.
Yeah, thank you very much, Professor Dhar. After I've listened to you and Professor Metri, I don't think there's much to be added. Yeah, but I would like to mention a few points, maybe to reinforce or maybe to refresh, and also a new part. As I said it in my vote of thanks, it's a laudable objective which NEP has come out with, and multidisciplinary approach, at least from a business school point of view, because I have been in the business school environment. So I've been really, we were really discussing about this part, that we are not a specialist in accounting or finance or OB or HR. We are trying really to have a business as a concept. So we are a school of business, not a school of accounting. Point I'm making is very simple, that we need to have a holistic, integrated approach, which we have been really trying to get into that. I think that is what you have been mentioning, and also Professor Metri so beautifully mentioned about how really we should try to get into it. Four things, of course, NEP in implementation are important. Again, central government, I think that is important, which has come out with the policy guidelines. State governments have to come out with their own guidelines, and some of the state governments are coming out with that. Institutions have to come out in their own way. And I, since currently with the self-financing institution, I will talk from that point of view also, how this is going to be really looking into. So which means that when we talk about institutions, I think we are mostly talking about the university system or otherwise, because we have other systems also where is self-funding, self-financing institutions. And finally, which is the faculty, individual, which really matters. And I take this as a challenge. I'm sure like everyone else, challenge is like a change management process. I think it's nothing simple, a change management process. There's no, is it a radical shift from what we have been really talking about? To some extent, yes, this is what I feel it. We have been talking, and what Dr. Metri mentioned, the latest things in the what we say for 21st century skills, and also our traditional values, the ethics, which have been given really, which have been given importance in this new education policy, and which leading to what we say the holistic human being. In fact, what he mentioned in that all beings, and that's what he refers to always to the planet. This is very important. Profit comes at the end. I think it's not something like that we always cut. So we are really trying to create a society from the materialistic world to the other world. Now, if that is an objective which we all try really to adhere to and agree, then I think it is a process of change. Change at a national level, change at the institutional level, change at a personal level. Now, this change management, we have been, in fact, in the field of change management, how we should go about it. In fact, likewise in NEP, which is a broader level, I personally feel that change management, which we find so challenging, can we start with something where we can succeed? And in the context of the multidisciplinary subject, which is a very important thing, can we really start with something which is not necessarily in the radical way, maybe in a very slow process, but where we can succeed and really give an example to people. Look here, this is the advantages that we have. Now, having said it, I think I remember that we were having activity-based costing in 80s and initially period. Some such concepts also came in our finance and others. And it was very difficult really to implement that, which required a cross-functional teams in the industry. Same thing was that we should try to change slowly. We should try to get into a process by which we should try to show some results to the people, because there will be some people who are, I will not say cynical, but I think they will be not adding, look here, it is not of relevance. It is not important. We cannot do it. Now, this philosophy of saying, or this point that we cannot do it, the policy has already come. We need to implement it. Now the question, how really best results we can get it. Now that is what we need really to focus on. And therefore my view, my point is, number one, when we talk about multidisciplinary, limitations, I think we all know. We all work in isolation as a faculty. I mean, there's absolutely nothing. We are a silos. We don't have a respect for each other. We don't want to get into that, generally so. Which means there is no cross-functional team. Maybe, number one, there are personal egos. Number two, maybe we don't realize that there's a collaboration or cooperation needed, in fact, in the field of research or teaching or in those areas. Maybe we have not realized it. Thirdly, maybe there may be other reasons also. Now, for that, what we really look for it, the training in a particular way, changing the mindset, which you both of you mentioned, even in the inaugural session. I think the change in the mindset is required, which requires very structured training for people to change the mindset, very structured. How really they should try to think it, how really they should, it's not a question of individualistic thinking. It is not the independence that we are talking about. We are talking about the interdependence of the faculty. So that is what really we should try to get into that. One point which has really come to my mind is the fragmentation part, which has now gone away. Right from the school education to the higher education. I think NEP has started right with that. Because I teach, let's suppose in PGDM program, I do not know what has been taught at the graduation level, at the college level, what is being taught at the +2 level. Now, once I know that this similar sort of a thing being taught at different levels, therefore, probably we can do something higher at the PGDM or MA level. This is what the nitty-gritty part I want to really to emphasize on. Now, therefore, what I'm really saying is one thing, change of the existing structure which is there, existing faculty. Now, this requires one type of approach. Second is the new faculty which will be joining. A new faculty I'm referring to, which will be still in the process where implementation of this has taken place. How we will try to cope up with that. Now, those two things have to be tackled in a very different fashion. Of course, every institution will devise its own really strategy to get into that. And those strategies can only be that you communicate more the need about the integration, more about the collaboration, more about the cooperation. More you talk, I think that is what refers to the more communication is there, then certainly I think people really buy the ideas at certain stage. But they will be able to buy the ideas only when you show certain results. So as an administrator, I would be really happy if in the institute, people try to really implement it in not in one go everything, but in small steps. And then get into this part of another part which is being mentioned by you and also Dr. Metri about the students. Because it is not only the teacher. There are many teachers who have bought the idea of we talk about business problems. We don't talk about the fragmentation knowledge of only management. I'm talking about management, say in certain disciplines or certain areas. Now, that is not the case. Now, students should also be very clear that I think we are trying really to be solving the problem of the business and not trying to solve a particular functional area things. Now, with students, go with the family also. I think there's a societal issue. Have you taken just whatever we say, look here, have you taken finance? Have you taken marketing? Have you taken biology for that matter? Have science subjects? Now that has to be probably seen that how society looks at. And therefore, there's a more communication. I think we need to really tell people, students, their parents also. And third thing about I mentioned is the people, those who are, we have, for example, you mentioned, you relate the subjects to the employability. And employability is very crucial part. The students will choose a particular subject based on what we refer to the job. They will get it or not, they will get it. And as you gave an example, management versus say history or say music. Now, which one is more employable? Now, this requires not only in the change in the mindset of the students, but also the industry too. I mean, I'm personally of the opinion that liberal arts is very useful for making a holistic human being. But the question is whether industry will also buy it when we look for a materialistic part. Now, that means that stakeholder has also to come into the picture whenever we try really to implement these things. So when we say multidisciplinary, I think it's a very good objective. It's a very good thing which needs to be implemented, maybe implemented long back. But what is required today is that these small steps, if we take it at individual level, maybe at the institution level, because it does not require, I should say, funding. I don't think it requires a funding or doing a research. It does not require a funding in terms of doing teaching. I give one example. I worked with SPGen, and I think in teaching a case, it was not a single faculty teaching a case. It was a 3-4 faculty. If it's HR, if a HR issue, then HR faculty is also joining. It's a finance issue, finance faculty joining. So 3-4 faculty joining and teaching it. Now, this was another way probably to solving an issue. We have got a different background of people having a different perspective, having a multiple disciplinary approach to solve a problem, because there can be those issues. Therefore, the point is we start slow, we start in steps, we try to show the results to the people. I think it's a laudable objective. There's absolutely nothing, but it can be done because this is possible. Because this problem will come only for few people, those who are with the existing and they are with a different mindset, not really buying this. For the new ones, I'm sure again the communication people will start getting into it, and therefore this can probably can be solved to a great extent. That's what personally I feel it. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Rattan Sharma. Well, you have beautifully talked about this management of change. So what we have learned from various strategies of management of change, how to overcome the resistance and so on, same kind of strategies can be thought of for implementation of this policy. So all of us agree that National Education Policy 2020 will bring about transformation, complete transformation in the education system of the country. There are so many good points in it, no doubt about it. But then right now we are talking about the challenges in implementation. There is another concept that this NEP 2020 has introduced for the first time in the country. That is ABC, Academic Bank of Credit. This is new to the nation. So a student can earn credits in by doing various courses, by choosing various courses from various disciplines, across the disciplines, and then earn the credits like a bank. So like a savings bank, wherein we put in the money and we can take it as per our need. Similarly, here a student can earn the credits and encash in a way, encash them for earning a certificate or a diploma or a degree. Now here is a challenge, that how to make it practical. Say what kind of certificate can be given, what kind of a diploma can be given when students have earned diverse courses, when they have done courses from varied disciplines, multiple disciplines. So what should we call that certificate? So certificate in what? So two students having done varied courses, how would we name that certificate? Or how would we name that diploma? This is another challenge, and we have to see how it can be taken care of. So I would like to seek your views on this issue, both Professor Metri and Professor Rattan Sharma. First, Professor Metri.
I think it is a very important apt question, that multiple entry, multiple exit, and basically earning the credits and banking those credits. I think again this is already there. 2011 I was working with Strathclyde University of Glasgow. 1 year they set up their campus in India. So this already credit, banking the credit, already this exists in some of the European universities. Tripura University, one of them I worked very closely about a year or so. I know whenever people come for the executive education, they attend some sessions and they bank some credits. And if they attend multiple such programs, end up the so many programs, or after 2 or 3 years, they earn so many credits so that they are eligible for the certificate of that particular program. So this is how those MDP sessions attended a week or 2 or months like that. Once they do 2-3 years, they earn the sufficient credits which are equivalent to a certificate. Now there is even we know that our regulators have kept some certain credits for certificate, certain duration and credit, certain duration and credit for the diploma, certain duration and credit for the degrees. So once whatever the regulatory system it comes, every country has its own regulatory norms. So those we have to do the fitment into the regulatory system for the certificate, for the diploma and the degree. Say for example, somebody attend the first year some courses interdisciplinary across it took, and he or she then again sometime attended second and so many credits earned. If those credits are good enough to give certificate in particular area, particular general area, so then certificate based on the earning the uh, credits, banking of those credits and the duration, if that is met, then the person will be declared obtaining or awarding so and so certificate. Now, generally, for example, if you go to UK, you know, they never give the specialization. They say MBA. They never say marketing or finance or operation or strategy. They give general MBA. So you can give a general certificate in that particular area if it is a general certificate, any particular professional course, either management or engineering or whatever the Ayurveda. So one can give the general. Then again the person working 2-3 years in industry coming back. Now again working 2-3 years in industry coming back means the person is coming with full of practical knowledge, full of competency. When such person comes to the college, attend the classes with other fellow students, there is a lot of learning. Faculty member also get out of such a learned faculty who comes with a lot of experience and a lot of challenges what person has faced in the industry. So it is a great learning experience not only for the students but also for the faculty members. So learning happens in both ways. So this is how it is a learning centric NEP. Learning to learn, that is why one of the important component of NEP 2020 is learning to learn. So professors also going to be a perpetual learners in NEP 2020. Students also going to be a lifelong learners. So that is why this multiple entry, multiple exit and the banking of credits. So once they earn sufficient credits as per the particular regulator, say for example, if it is architect, if it is a medical or agriculture or engineering or whatever the technical, so all those are pharmaceutical, all those areas, whatever the credits required for that diploma, they may get. Then again the person attends for the degree or some practical project has to be done, dissertation has to be done. Once they do, then they may be awarded degree. So different stages, different point of time, the duration may go and it is a flexibility is given to them. They can come back anytime because now gone are the days once you study and then you need not to go back to the institution. Now it is a perpetual learning, lifelong learning, and the skills requirement are changing because the old jobs are disappearing and some of the jobs are taken by the robots. New jobs are coming, new products are coming, new companies are coming. So tomorrow's workplace, future of workplace is entirely different and it is very disruptive. Context is changing. In such a context, this particular approach, multiple entry and multiple exit or banking, is going to be extremely useful. And I am sure implementation may not be a problem. These are already tested and proven in some of the universities. For us, it may be new. And I am sure we also give, for example, IIM PG diploma for MBA students. in place of 2 years, one can complete the degree in 3 years. In part-time, in place of 3 years, they can do in 5 years. Probably for part-time, 5 years may go to 10 years. So something like that. So the duration will change and credits will also, they keep on earning and they keep on banking. So this is how this system is going to make a mark, and I'm sure this is going to start a new era, and it is useful for the students, faculty, and all the stakeholders and all the learners. And this is what in NEP they call it as a learning to learn. With this, I'll stop here. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Metri. Now, Professor Rattan Sharma, what are your views? What your take on ABC?
Well, I agree to what in the inaugural and other places mentioned, input, whatever input goes in terms of the contents, I think they can have some uniformity, not necessarily 100%, but there is some uniformity, number one. Secondly, where we have it to begin with, I'm again drawing from the change management process, where how to implement it. When we are trying to take that multiple exist and multiple level entry, and also we have the various subjects flexibility for the students, then what we can really do is that maybe some select institutions can be allowed, say they are where they can really participate, they can really go into, they are the only one who will be providing these facilities to begin with, right? Because all institutions cannot be allowed to give a multiple entry exit. It requires logistically very different setup altogether, because when you implement change in big way in one go, it's difficult really to manage. But if it is something like you manage it with a handful of people, say in Delhi, let's suppose, there are only 2-3 institutions, right, which are being allowed to really have this sort of a facility with a certain standard, all being regulated, quality, accredited, all that, everything regulated, then probably students can go for it. So one part is that maybe to begin with, when we implement it, have some select group of institutions where this facility can be allowed to the students, and we see as to what we learn from it. And then later on, we can improve upon those parts and enlarge the whole process. Second is, if it is in a big way we get into that, then I agree to what Dr. Metri was mentioning. Say you in Hyderabad University, you have earned certain credit. For example, in PGDM, say we have 1,000 or 1,100 points, credit points we have to earn, or hours we have to have it. Now we can always devise a new, probably a program wherein you earn 1,100 points, right? Or 1,100 hours of study, you do it, and we give a name. And that means that from where one is doing it, then one is getting it. It's not necessarily that you are getting into, let's suppose, the situation of PGDM only. It may be said PGDM, not necessarily banking or finance or something of that. We already say very general sort of a thing. Now, which requires certain amount of credit, from maybe a different disciplines. Now, that is another alternative probably which one can really think of in terms of having a multidisciplinary approach. And probably this can be a very doable part. I should not say that it's not doable. So what I'm really saying is uniformity of inputs, quality being looked into by accreditation process. Third, I'm saying only few select institutions being given. And fourth, I'm saying is that maybe a general sort of a degree can be appointed, and therefore this can be done. And I think this can then solve this to begin with the implementation process. Later on, maybe it's a very important thing we can get into. That maybe all other institutions can also be tried really for this purpose. Yeah, Professor Dhar.
Yeah, thank you very much, Professor Sharma. See, there is another area. This multidisciplinary approach will also give rise to research in multidisciplinary areas. So students may, in their research studies, in their research plan, they may cut across the disciplines, which is very healthy, which is very good. So far, we have been restricted to a discipline. Say PhD in physics, it is restricted to physics only. PhD in biotechnology, restricted to biotechnology only. PhD in business administration, restricted to... This is what has been happening so far in our country. But now with this multidisciplinary approach, one can, a researcher can cut across the disciplines and make his work more relevant to the society. Now the challenge here is from the supervision point of view. So how do you look at it from the supervision point of view as a challenge? So Professor Metri, your views.
I
Will
think
one supervisor continue to guide, or there will be a team of experts guiding a student?
I think Professor Upendraji, you have brought a very, very apt and relevant question, which is extremely important. And I think we are, I won't say it is late, but it is a very right time we are talking about that. So multidisciplinary approach in the university or in the autonomous colleges, it brings the concept called a centers of excellence. So every center of excellence has to be interdisciplinary. So tapping the potential available with each and every area. For example, customer relationship management, CRM, it will tap the potential available with the marketing as well as tap the potential available with the management information systems. It will also tap the potential available with the psychology people. They will check the behavior of the consumer. So two, three disciplines coming together and forming a center of excellence, and then interdisciplinary approach implementation will happen. Not only that, we tap the potential available with each one of us and we work as a team. So this will also give us a great opportunity to make our role as an important team player to build the vision and mission of that university. So that and not only build the mission and vision of the university, all the interdisciplinary, say, psychology area, from management information systems or marketing and even strategy, all the 4-5 areas coming together and all the people publishing a paper which has its impact on the society, impact on the business, impact on policy making, impact on government, impact on community. So this is how this interdisciplinary research is going to be, basically it is going to redefine the research for nation building. So you know that today whatever the research we do, this research is only for the purpose of earning the credits and basically to get the promotion and all, because we are following the Western aspect of, Western definition of research classification. So we call ABDC, we call ABS, we call SOSTAR and FT50, all kind of things. But if you ask me what is the impact of research apart from citations? So impact of research has to be society, community, government, policy making and business. If it is not happening any one of the 5, that research is not a useful research, it is a useless research. And this multidisciplinary approach really bringing the practical and real applied and impact of research will come. It is not assumption or assumption or assumption and we are publishing and that is going to be useless. So that is where this interdisciplinary approach and particular research perspective, it is going to play an important role. One is we are going to be an important team player. Second one is interdisciplinary research publications come. If you join any corporate world, any business world, any NGO, we need all the areas, all the functional areas. So that is where this research is going to make an important mark, and we are going to tap the potential available with each one of us. And that is how a dream of nation building, a dream of applied research is going to be basically define a new way of, or redefine the universities. You know that universities are for 3 roles: a creation of knowledge, dissemination of knowledge, and application of knowledge. So that all the 3 basically in this NEP 2020 they are going to realize through this research, and that is why Government of India also come out with an India Research Foundation. So that National Research Foundation is going to make a mark, and this interdisciplinary research tapping the potential available in entire university. Even if you talk about Sanskrit is one of the important department or universities are there. So those who are doing Vedic physics or even management and in Ayurveda, they can draw the potential available in the Sanskrit department, so that they can, our traditional knowledge and the practical applications can be, its impact can be brought to the business, brought to the society, and brought to the medical profession knowing Sanskrit. And that is how this interdisciplinary research is going to make a mark. Even a person having expertise in Sanskrit, because we have हमारे पास खजाना है बट उसका की नहीं है, संस्कृत हमें नहीं आता है तो उसका की नहीं है, तो वी कैनॉट practically implement it. Even though I'm expert in Vedic physics, I'm expert in management, but I can't use those literature available in Sanskrit. So that is why interdisciplinary is basically going to help not only build a great research, and it also build a holistic research with practically 360-degree we are going to see in the research, not making assumptions and drawing some conclusion which is not practicable. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Professor Metri. Well, I fully agree with you that at present in our country, research has become a race for citations.
Right.
So relevance of research on society has taken a backseat, unfortunately. But now, Professor Rattan Sharma, what is your take on this so far as multidisciplinary research is concerned, research in multidisciplinary areas is concerned? Because with multidisciplinary approach, the research in multidisciplinary areas will be encouraged. So what is your view in terms of the supervision and so on?
I think this is what has been mentioned, and I agree fully. This has been a problem, first of all, for example, rethinking management education in Harvard Business School. I think there has been an issue whether we should try to provide education management in particular. Should it be for paper writing or should be useful to the society? I think this debate is going on for a long time. Of course, they decided that you should be useful for the society to improve the practices in business and in other areas of organization. Now, maybe in India, we were probably thinking more in terms of what we say ABDC type of thing, citations and was right. But this question, what you are mentioning is also linked to the first question of your credit transfer and multiple entry and exit. When I mentioned that there should be only select few maybe institutions initially to be given that they should be, the students can really opt for multiple exit and transfer. Same thing can happen here also to begin with. We can allow what we say there. I mentioned about the few, what Dr. Metri mentioned, center of excellence. Now, suppose in area particular, similar type, I think he mentioned management and I'm referring to that, say finances, and this is a very interesting part which I would like to really refer to. I read an article long back and it was something on stock market behavior, you know, how the prices can be predicted. And it was a long time ago when I read it, it was very interesting finding. It was there in a conference. They used all the data which was available in the US and different stock exchanges. All the techniques which are available at that time, statistically, they tested it. They tested the large amount of data from period where it was available, and they found less than 10% of the behavioral, the price change explanation by different variables. So I think there was a question. If by all that doing research, you are only able to find out the behavior of the prices only to the extent of single digit, 8%, 7%, 9%, with different variables where you have taken log or you have taken one technique or another, then what is that we are lacking? And therefore came there decision making even in the field of the market, which means the financial market is very different. These are the human beings who are taking a decision. And therefore the role of psychology has also been taken into account. So I think there has been a move towards, even in the areas which are, we should say, very quantitative oriented, the behavioral part. And there has been a multidisciplinary, say, behavioral finance has really come into being. Behavioral accounting has come into being as to how really people are taking decisions in these different areas. So there has been, in fact, in this area, a change. But I think what we now look for is that within the institute, as I said, is central, state, institution, and individual. I think individual needs to really get into this. As an institution, we can develop maybe to begin with, once we are aware that this center of excellence or any other, give any name, where cross-functional team can be there and research can be there. Now the question remains, inter-institute, yes. Now it depends as to how, which area you are strong. For example, if in Indore, psychology is strong, and the major portion is of psychology, let the supervisor can be from the Indore area. There's absolutely nothing. And in other areas, it can be finance, because that behavior has to be applied in the context of the finance. and both can team up properly. It's something like, I feel it from that point of view. In the university, there are some universities which allow when you do PhD, you allow a co-guide. Now, main guide remains from the university, and the other guide, they're coming from different area, the candidate can choose. We can extend this logic further in terms of this cross-functional part. So I think if it is a question of merely logistic, I think it's a question that you can really implement it. The whole idea is we want to implement. If it is good idea, let's implement and start showing it. So I think the way forward can be this, that I think major portion we can really look into what is that. And then in any way, we have to work as a team. So in cross-functional, I think that is very important. Yeah, Prasad.
So, Professor, there I think just to add what Rattan Sharma ji said, supervisor part, I think I've forgotten to tell. Supervisor, what Rattan ji said, you see, purpose is to learn, purpose is to build a scholarship for the young minds. So then, how many supervisor? The number has no meaning. So today also in India, many of the good institution, autonomous institution, one supervisor is from India, one supervisor is from abroad. Our research progress committee members can be outside. So it may be a team of supervisors, and it also in consultation in the scholar and the committee, they can decide 1 or 2 or 3 and what is manageable and what is required. So that is important than fixing the number. One supervisor has no meaning because multidisciplinary approach. There may be a multiple supervisor, and students may be given freedom, and he should also build a knowledge base using the expertise available with those supervisors. So number, according to me, has no meaning. What is required, that is to be done for the purpose of learning to learn. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Now, before we close this session, we have 10 minutes more. Would you like to make any additional points, Professor Metri first?
I think we have covered almost all the points, and I think you being a chairman and you asked a very right question and pointed questions. Only one thing, this NEP, if I want to make one statement, a broad statement, NEP 2020, basically it is a great opportunity to take our local concept, local model to global, local, global. That is what our Honorable Prime Minister said. So how to make use of local traditional knowledge. Every area has rich in traditional knowledge, and that taking the traditional knowledge, implementing in India and taking to globe, probably I can visualize in coming 4 to 5 years, maybe Indian management will be taught in the rest of the countries. The way Japanese management is taught after 1990 when Japan was super economy. So Indian management is also taught, or Indian ethos is also taught all over the world. And that the NEP 2020, probably in different version, probably rest of the world will implement, because the optimization at global level, optimization at people level, and giving to the society the way you know that Tata built a Jamshedpur, it is a giving attitude. Birlas, wherever they go, they build a temple. So the giving attitude from materialistic growth, it is inculcating that kind of holistic mind and taking care of all living being, not only human being. So materialistic growth to human being, to all being. And this is what the journey should be there, and NEP is focusing on that. With this, thank you very much, Professor Upendra there and Ramesh ji giving me opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, Professor Rattan Sharma, any additional point that you would like to make?
No, I've already made it. I think the fragmentation part we mentioned, from school education to really we talk about higher education. We have been, in fact, in person, I have been really much worried as to we teach at a higher level at a very different thing than what the input we get as the students. So I think when there is the integration taking place, I think that is a wonderful thing which has come in NEP, which of course will take time. As I think they are not optimistic. They say 2040 and 2035 is some of the goals. But if we are serious, I think something can be definitely come out with this after this 15 years or 20 years the time. Rest is the fragmentation of the knowledge per se. I'm reminded of philosophy. We say is the origin of all knowledge. And that's what the concept we have really brought in. I think everything gets to be integrated. I'm worried about that I being a professor of management, but I'm not able really to set my, if there is something goes wrong in the electricity, I'm not able to do that. Anything right, I have to call somebody. Now, at least some skill gets developed. So vocational training can also be there. I think that are some of the things which are there, which probably in a multidisciplinary aspects, I think these things can be sorted out. The students will have a choice really, not only about a particular major area, but also the other areas also, which are to be useful, but needs to be regulated. I think that's done. So, right. Thank you very much, Dr. Upendra. I think it's a very pointed questions you asked and it's wonderful. You summarized it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Rattan Sharma. So this NEP 2020 will certainly increase accessibility, flexibility, and quality. That is the focus. And all of us are very optimistic about it. And it is going to transform the system in the country. And which is correct, whenever new things are introduced, whenever any new policy is introduced, implementation is challenging. No, there is no problem in facing the challenges. So there are challenges, there will be challenges, and we have to face them. And we are sure that we can overcome them, and we'll be able to implement the policy within the given framework. So with these words, thank you very much. I would like to thank the organizers for giving me very eminent speakers in this panel. And this session has been really enriching. Thank you very much, Professor B Ramesh and team, for organizing this beautiful and knowledgeable webinar. And I'm sure that those who have been attending it will be benefited by this discussion and the discussion which will follow. Thank you very much.
Thank
Professor
you.
B Ramesh and his team can take over now.